Bonjour à tous.
Good morning,
Bonjour
everyone.
et bienvenue à notre webinaire. On va
Good morning and welcome to our webinar.
2 minutes
We're going
pour
to
que la
wait a couple of
personne
more
se connecte.
minutes for people to
Bonjour à toutes et à
all
tous.
connect.
Bonjour,
Hello, everyone.
Madame Benkarim.
Mrs. Ben Karim,
Oui,
good
bonjour,
morning.
madame. Bonjour, mesdames,
Hi,
mesdames et
Madam,
messieurs.
ladies and gents.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Hello.
Alors, je crois qu'on est prêt.
I believe we are now ready to get started.
Oui, bonjour à tous.
Yes, hello, everyone.
Un petit souci avec le micro. OK, vous me sentez bien?
Can you hear me well?
Oui,
Yes,
tout va
everyone
bien?
can hear me?
On vous
Everything?
entend, oui.
Yes, we can
OK.
hear you. Great.
Bonjour à tous.
Hello,
Je suis ravie
everyone.
de vous accueillir
I'm
aujourd'hui à
happy
notre
to
webinaire
meet
sur
you
la
here
microfinance
in our
durable en
webinar
Tunisie.
for
Je m'appelle
sustainable
Natalia
microfinance.
Carrigio. Je suis directrice de
I'm
EDA
Natalia
Sustainable
Carrillo,
Solutions
so
et je
I'm the
serai votre
Director for
modératrice pour
Sustainable
cette session
Solutions, and I
importante.
will be your
Alors,
moderator
tout
for this
d'abord,
important session.
permettez-moi
So
de
first of
saluer
all,
nos
allow
partenaires
me to
pour organiser tous ces
welcome
événements.
our partners
Ça, c'est
and
la facilité d'assistance technique de
partners for
Sanat
this event.
avec
It's
Madame
Sanata
Catherine
with Mrs.
Katia Morton
Katia
et
Morton
aussi l'autorité de contrôle de la
and
microfinance
the
avec
microfinance
Monsieur
regulator
Mahmoud Mansour
with
à
Mr.
côté,
Mahmoud
à
Mansour,
côté de moi.
who is next to me
Et
here in the
au
same
moment,
room.
on est dans le Global
So at
Policy
the
Forum
moment,
à Manila,
we are at the
Philippines.
Global Policy
On a
Forum in
trouvé un
Manila,
moyen
Philippines.
pour être avec vous
We found a way
ici,
to be here with you for
logistiquement,
this.
oui,
So
parce
logistically, but I
on
believe
n'a pas de problème maintenant.
we shouldn't be having any
Alors,
problems. We have sorted the solution
je
now.
vais partager mon écran.
I shall now share my screen.
Est-ce que oui, ça marche pour vous?
Can you
Oui,
see it?
oui.
Très bien. Alors, nous sommes très honorés de travailler en étroite collaboration
We are
avec
very
eux pour
honored to be
promouvoir
working in
le
close
développement de la
cooperation with
microfinance
you to
durable en
be
Tunisie et
working on the
aussi dans la
development
région
of
du MENA.
sustainable microfinance in
Vous pouvez voir
Tunisia and also
les
in
participants
the
dans cette
MENA
réunion
regions.
et
You can
dans
see this
beaucoup de
for this,
pays, c'est un
and for many
webinaire
countries, this
ouvert
is
pour les
an
secteurs.
open webinar for all
Pour
sector.
les intervenants, les
For
panélistes, je vous
the
demanderai
panelists,
maintenant
now I'm going to ask
de
the panelists
ne pas parler trop
to
rapidement
to
afin
not,
que les
to not
traducteurs
speak too
puissent
fast
faire
so that
leur
the
travail.
interpreters
Merci
may
beaucoup.
be able to do their job adequately. Thank you very much. The interpreters. We are
Oui,
assigned.
on a déjà fait ça
We are
avec
assigned.
Madame Alem, pour Alem et Sonia.
Yes, we are assigned. We are here and assigned.
Et pour Sonia, c'est mieux comme ça?
Yeah, no, we're assigned. We're okay. We are all okay. We're assigned. We are on the interpretation channels. Can somebody listening to English please confirm to our moderator that we are on the
Ça marche?
channels? Mohammed, is it working? I believe it could be the Arabic interpreters have just joined and need to be assigned.
Bonjour à tous.
We can hear the English version, Natalia.
Yeah,
It
can you
works.
explain that? It could be the Arabic speakers are actually trying to be
Alors,
assigned. Maybe they
on va
joined late.
continuer.
So if we may continue,
Très bien.
so if we shall.
Alors, on a
And so
L'interprétation est offerte
we
en
have
français,
the
c'est juste parce que
interpretation in
l'arabe est
French.
égal.
So, and I hope that
Vous
our
pouvez
Arab
cliquer sur quelle
interpreters
langue
have
vous souhaitez
joined us.
écouter
So you
pour
need to click on the
l'interprétation arabe.
languages of our
Vous devez
language you wish to choose.
sélectionner l'interprétation en
For
espagnol.
Arabic, you need to select Spanish to listen to
Vous
Arabic.
devez
And so
vous présenter dans le chat
if you wish
votre
to
nom,
introduce yourself in the
où est-ce
chat,
que vous travaillez.
so
Aussi, c'est
where
une
do you work
opportunité pour
also?
vous
Where do you work?
participants.
So, and that would be just an opportunity to network with other
Vos
participants.
intervenants, voulez-vous
For
mettre
our
en mute?
speakers,
Ça,
friendly
c'est si vous
reminder
êtes
to our
présenté.
speakers, please mute
Alors, le
yourself
plan
unless you
d'aujourd'hui,
are
c'est
presented.
d'abord, on va voir
Our
une
plan
présentation de
today
la
is we're going to have
facilitation.
a
Sciences
presentation.
techniques, oui.
So the technical
Moi,
side.
c'est l'interprète de langue française. J'aimerais être assigné. Je ne le suis pas encore.
We have another French interpreter who would like to be
Um,
assigned. We seem to have a
Bonjour Natalia. Hello.
hi,
oui,
Natalia.
bonsoir.
Hi,
Merci.
Mustafa.
I'm the interpreter of the Arabic language. I'm aware that this was gonna be 9:30 Tunis time, but I think there was a misunderstanding of the information. Can you please assign me to the Arabic?
Yes, we will do. Apologies for
Spanish would be Arabic.
yes, it will be from French to Arabic.
Okay.
Apologies for this inconvenience. Please
I'm
give us
sorry. I think the timing, the timing, yeah, it's 9 now Tunis time, but I received information that it was gonna be 9:30, but something was.
mm, Felipe, ¿puedes asignar a Mustafa, por favor?
Ok. De francés a español, ¿sí?
Sí, por favor.
On the globe.
Yes, now.
Uh,
Now it should be working.
yeah, I guess you can't hear me anymore. Yes,
Okay.
good.
Bienvenue à tout le monde.
So welcome everyone to our
Tunisia.
webinar on sustainable
On a
microfinance in
expliqué,
Tunisia. We have
les
already explained
d'aujourd'hui.
the
On a aussi l'interpréteur,
methods for today.
traducteur pour le français et
We
l'arabe.
now have
C'est pour
interpreters for
français
French and
et
Arabic
anglais.
and
On
also
va
for
commencer
French
avec la
English.
présentation
We
de
shall
Madame
start with a
Katia Morton
presentation
de la
by
facilité
Mrs.
des sciences
Katia
techniques du
Morton.
Sénat.
So
Après,
for
on va
the
écouter
technical
Monsieur
assistance of the
Mahmoud
Sanad Fund,
Mansour
and
de
then we
l'Autorité
will
de
listen
contrôle de
to
la
Mr.
microfinance en
Mahmoud
Tunisie.
Mansour from
Et
the
après, je vais présenter le
microfinance
résultat de
regulator in
l'étude
Tunisia,
de
and then I will
l'évaluation des
present
mesures
the
de la politique de la
results of the
MENA.
study on, sustainable
Là,
microfinance and the MENA region from my
Et
side.
après, on va écouter
Afterwards,
à Monsieur Kamel
we will
Saibi,
listen to
directeur
Mr. Kamel Saibi,
de l'institution
director
DAM,
of the
ancien
DAM, this is
CFA, Tunisie,
formerly CFA,
avec
Tunisia.
aussi l'expérience
We will
de
also
l'institution
listen to
microfinance en
the
Datamouil
experiences
avec
of
Monsieur
the
Khairuddin
and the
Kaya.
Tamil Microfinance
Et
with Mr.
finalement,
Khairuddin Kaya. And then
on va
finally,
écouter à
we
Dr.
will listen
Nadia
to
Mansour,
Dr.
qui est
Nadia
chercheur
Mansour,
dans
who's
l'Université de Salamanca et aussi Economic
at
Research
the
Forum.
University of Salamanca and also the Economic
Alors,
Research Forum.
maintenant, la séance
Now,
d'ouverture avec
the
Madame
opening
Katia
session
Morton.
with Mrs. Katia Morton, if you will.
The floor is yours, Katia.
Katia, vous
Okay,
avez la
merci,
parole.
merci beaucoup.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
Bienvenue
very
à
much.
ce webinaire,
Welcome everyone to this
sur la
webinar
microfinance durable,
on
en
the
Tunisie.
sustainable
Merci pour votre
microfinance,
appui à la
which is
facilitation
supported
d'assistance
today
technique du Fonds
today
SANED,
by the Sanad
qui est
Fund
géré par
Technical Assistance
Finance
Facility,
Induction.
which is
Merci
managed by
à nos
Finance Induction. So
organisateurs,
thanks to our
Natalia
organizers,
et son équipe,
Natalia and her
et à mes
team.
collègues de l'Autorité de contrôle de
So
la
to our
microfinance
colleaugues
et
from
aussi
the
à
Microfinance
notre
Authority
partenaire
and
média
also
Tunisia
for this
Gateway.
and our media partner.
Merci
So
à nos
thank you
intervenants et tous les
to our
participants qui
speakers
nous
and
rejoignent
all the
aujourd'hui.
participants who have
Nous sommes
joined us
très
today.
heureux de
So
faciliter cette discussion
We are very happy to be here to facilitate this discussion, which is very important for our Tunisian partners on very important subject. So the promotion of sustainable, is part of the important part of Senat's work, which is aims to support growth and employment and promote integration and to build inclusive ecosystems. So first of all, the Sanad Fund finances smaller and low household incomes in the MENA and sub-Saharan Africa, and to lend to this. So the banks, microfinance institutions, etc. The technical assistance facility works closely with aims to aim directly to maximize the expense the activities for this for the development of funds in the target countries and to those with Hydra. Prochaine diapo, s'il vous plaît. So the facilities for this for entrepreneurship and development of MSME. These four focal topics are so sustainability, so the women empowerment and agricultural finance and digitalization. So we recently developed our program of sustainable development, thanks to which, the technical assistance aims to strengthen the capacity of its partners and also this and also deal with mitigate climate change and adapt to its impacts and continue to deliver economic value and growth. And as part of our program for sustainability, we concentrate both on sectoral activities, so to raise awareness and facilitate the exchange of information and also the activities at the level of partners and activity, the SMEs to allow support them to get economic resilience and get more the targeted knowledge, such as the development of the development strategies, sustainable agriculture, the management of climate risks, compliance, ESG. So this webinar today, it's about sustainable microfinance in Tunisia is the second webinar of the series of webinars, which will be held in the MENA region. And that's today's webinar, as Natalia said, will provide the results of the study we carried out last year and will, do this with a situation and the developments in the field in Tunisia. So I hope that this webinar and this discussion will be very useful for everyone. And thanks to everyone for this. And I give the floor again to Natalia then.
Merci beaucoup, Katia.
Thank you, Katia.
On va continuer avec
So we shall continue with the presentations.
OK. On va continuer la présentation avec
We shall continue the presentations with Mr. Mahmoud Mansour, who is the head of the microfinance regulator in Tunisia. He is the founding of the institution and also its general manager. He's an experience of more than 20 years at the Ministry of Finance and the Prime Minister's cabinet and government audits. So please go ahead, Mr. Mansour. You may start. Thank you, Natalia. I would like to salute everybody here who is participating in this very important webinar. But before starting, I would, if you allow me to, I will express some thoughts to our Moroccan friends here. And I think that we have many Moroccan friends participating in this webinar. And also very thoughtful thoughts after the earthquake in Morocco, just happened. And in the name of the ACM team and all the Tunisian population, good luck, and we are with you, with all our thoughts, and we're sure that Morocco will survive this and will get back on its feet. And also, we wish to prompt, recovery to all the wounded. So, and may God protect Morocco. So, same thoughts. And so, same thoughts. For our friends in Libya also, who has, been through devastating floods that rained for days. Same thought then goes to the Libyan brothers and sisters. And so all these disasters can only encourage us to work seriously and more than ever on this type of questions. And so this, as a regulator, makes us put these type of subjects at the top of our priorities. We have to work, we have to take advantage of this technical assistance to work and put in place something that allows us to protect ourselves against such risks. For the presentation I prepared, I will present very quickly the control authority and the landscape or microfinance landscape in Tunisia, as well as the sector figures and what are the priority themes for us and which are linked to this theme, in fact. Quickly, the control or the regulatory authority is a unique example in the MENA regions because the supervision of the microfinance sector was granted to an independent authority, independent from the central bank and the Ministry of Finance, but which has a board that gathers all the regulators in the country. So in terms of mandate given to the control over the regulators. So it's the supervision of this, because we have to review sector because all the authorizations that were given to all the institutions in the field of microfinance Tunisia's were only granted after a study by the authority here. Also, as we said, what's another thing that's important is centralization of risks, given that we've put in place a centralization of risk system that connects to the risk register of the central bank. And for this, so we also have a very important mandate, which is goes, included with inclusion, which is the protection of MFI clients. So we also are supposed to be, called upon by the government for any regulation or legislation that is before it's adopted as a regulatory tax. And also our last mandate, we also expected to also monitor the microfinance sector. The landscape microfinance today, so we have associations, there are very small entities that exist in the whole country. So we have one association already, which is compliant with legislations, while all others are called upon to comply with regulations. And this includes also the new companies created under the new legislation that was adopted by Tunisia just after the revolution. So microfinance sector in figures and a few figures. So in terms of disbursement, we closed out 2022 with a total amount of disbursement of about $550 million. $550 around 560 million, no, exactly 557 million in disbursements. What we need to remember that this is an exponential growth that microfinance sector has been seen since 2013 up until now. And of course, with the arrival of new companies on the market. And as for the theme here, I'd like to show the weight of agriculture. And we have many measures and actions to be, taken up and linked to this theme. The development of sustainable finance, green finance, so the agriculture weighs in quite relatively much more than the other sectors, given that in 2022, agriculture alone, took up 28% of our disbursements or payments. If we add to agriculture, production and small businesses and handicrafts, we reach over 35% of weight of this in these production sectors for handicrafts and agriculture, which encourages us to work much more on green and sustainable finance in terms of ongoings. Outgoings. We have $516 million. As of the 31st of December 2022, and also the weight of agriculture here is also very noticeable. If we add to this, handicrafts and small trades and production, so we can see a certain number of sectors that requires a certain quite a lot of attention to work with these sectors to develop further sustainable development, sustainable finance and green finance.
Ah, d'accord. Je répète.
So I repeat, for agriculture, so we have 27% of our outgoings. So is for agricultural financing. So with the MFIs for this, is dedicated to this. If we add to this small crafts and production and handicrafts, we then exceed 35%. So to say how much the 3 or 4 sectors weigh on the activities of MFIs. So and on our side, as a regulator that we are, this gives us a very important role to be able to develop sustainable and green finance. In fact, amongst the questions that call our attention here to be able to develop sustainable finance, it's a digital finance, and you all know that digital finance is an essential component to be able to put in place the basis for green and sustainable finance. So here, our control role was is what we're wondering what is our role in terms of a sector that's being more and more digitized. As a regulator, we must invest ourselves in, and we must be set up for this and be in charge of monitoring and controlling. And this is why last year we set up to put in place a study, so for that in such a way that allowed us, as we had this report that we have received, enlightened us on digital risks and the inherent risks for the development of everything that is, for the MFIs. And as a regulator, we have to be able to monitor this, and today we're very happy to say that we have a supervision manual for digitalized digital activities. So it's a supervision, that can be perfected further, so again, in light of all the new elements that can be seen. So also we need to We need to see the adequate proposals to codify all our tech stuff so that they are up to date of the development for all digital activities for the level of MFIs. Also, one of our important aspects is to train all the controllers in digital finance, and our objective for 2024 is that 50% of our controllers should receive a certification for, French school management. And if I go back further, so starting the fact that we've reviewed the ACM decree or circular, number 5, which has provided to the MFIs that we already have criteria that were set up. You're going to see that this question of sustainable finance, these are questions or matters to which we've always given sufficient and plenty of attention. Same things with the note that we published at the end of 2020 on the Italian credit line and for the conditions on the Alexei Uni, and had given with the possibility to the IMF to margin on this. And if you look at the circulars or notes, you'll notice that the subject of green finance was a subject that were a concern of us, and to which we did bring the elements, the necessary elements at the level of these and technical notes, and to set up actually for these, and also eligibility criteria, and which are aiming to do this on this line. So also this year we have already started a study that has that's closely linked to this theme or subjects for this. We give the necessary importance. It's the study on the implementation of standards and indicators of social standards in Tunisia. So this is a highly collaborative subject that we are carrying out with all the FMIs, and there's a whole series of dedicated indicators, to sustainable finance. So it's and something very important, and which we're paying full attention. And in light of this study, and we shall carry out make sure that this indicators is adopted by the FMFS, and there are already raise awareness amongst these, and we make sure that these indicators will now become interesting reporting elements that will allow us, in fact, to do self-assessment on the implementation of all the necessary, elements for to be followed in the sector of microfinance, and the fact already that we're participating into this what this series of webinars shows our willingness and even more our commitment to move ahead, to go forward, and to put in the places for this, so the real in the field of microfinance in Tunisia. And I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you
Merci
very
beaucoup, Monsieur
much.
Mansour,
Thank you, Mr. Mansour.
merci pour votre volonté, votre
And we thank
engagement.
you
C'est très
for your
important pour le
commitment.
secteur
It's
et
very
c'est un
important
message
for the
clair
sector, and
aussi
it's a
pour les
message
institutions
that
de
is
microfinance et pour
clear for
des
microfinance
acteurs du
institutions
secteur de
and for
microfinance.
this the whole
Alors,
sector.
on va
So now
suivre
we
avec
move on
une présentation sur les résultats d'une étude
with a
sur la
presentation on the
microfinance durable en
results
Tunisie.
of
C'est une étude
microfinance
microfinance durable dans la région MENA.
study on sustainable
Il y
microfinance
en
in
a
Tunisia,
d'entre nous
which
dans
is
des
following
mots,
a
mais je vais
study done on
dans
sustainable microfinance in the MENA
2022
region in
avec le soutien
July
de
to
SANAD,
October
la
of last
facilité
year,
assistance technique de SANAD.
and with the SANAT
Pour cette étude,
technical
on a
assistance facility.
des
For this
institutions
study,
participantes
we have
et en
these
Tunisie,
institutions
on
who
a
took part, and
repéré
in
les trois
Tunisia,
institutions de
we have
microfinance
the three
advanced,
microfinance
et maintenant GAM.
institutions that were part of the study. And
on a une ligne
Tamwil,
dans l'écran.
Dam. We have a line in the screen
J'espère
here.
que
I hope
on peut.
that we can.
C'est bien.
Okay.
Alors, je vais
So
continuer. On est
I
désolé
will
avec
continue.
la
I'm
ligne
sorry about this line.
là-bas. Et je vais présenter les cadres de
I
mesure
am
qu'on a
going to
utilisé pour
present
l'étude.
the measurement
Cadre de mesure,
framework that we
c'est
used for the
avec
study.
les
The
indices de pénétration
framework,
de la microfinance
it
verte qu'on a développé dans
deals
ce
with the
terrain
Green Microfinance
avec
and Penetration
l'objectif
Index with the
d'identifier la mise en
objective to
œuvre de la
identify
finance
the
verte
implementation
inclusive
of
dans un
inclusive
domaine
green
spécifique
finance in a
et
specific
évaluer
area
l'environnement
and assessing
où
the
est-ce que
environment
travaille l'institution de
for
microfinance et
the
s'il y a des
microfinance
caractéristiques dans le
institutions and if
secteur
there
ou
are
dans le
any
pays
characteristic in the
qui
sector or the country
aider ou
which
n'aident pas
could help or
l'institution de
hinder the
développer
institutions in
ces
developing
ces
these
programmes.
their offer and their
Les
programs.
dimensions d'évaluation
The
sont trois.
dimension for the
La première, c'est
evaluation are three.
l'offre.
There is first, we
Que
have the
proposons
offer.
l'institution pour
What do
améliorer les
institutions
résiliences
offer to
climatiques
improve the
de
climate,
leurs
climate
institutions et clients?
resolutions of their
Et on évalue
institutions
les
and
produits
clients?
financiers.
We assessed the
Qu'est-ce
financial
que c'est la portée
products
des produits?
and
Qu'est-ce que
the
sont les
scope of the financial
services non
products.
financiers?
What are the
Et la portée
non-financial
des
services
services
and
non
also the
financiers.
scope of
Est-ce qu'il y a
non-financial
des
services?
formations
Is
pour
there
les clients ou
training
pour
or
les
not
employés?
for
Et
clients
on
or
a
for
quatre
employees?
niveaux:
When we have
débutant,
four
basique,
levels,
compétent,
beginner,
avancé
basic,
pour les
competent, and
institutions.
advanced for these
Après,
institutions.
on
And
a la
then
dimension
we
exécution.
have the
On
dimension about
demande qu'est-ce que c'est la
execution,
stratégie
where we ask
environnementale
what is
et
the
gestion
strategy, the
des risques.
environmental strategy and risk
Alors,
management.
on demande dans
And
quelle mesure les
here
institutions de
the question
microfinance
is,
mettent
to what extent do
en œuvre leur politique
MFIs implement
environnementale
their
et leurs
environmental
procédures de
policies
gestion
and
des
risk
risques.
management
Et il y
procedures?
a quatre
And here there
catégories:
are four
indicateurs des
categories,
activités et
four
aspirations des
indicators,
institutions,
activities and
des
aspirations of the
rapports,
institutions,
s'il y a
reports,
transparence
if
institutionnelle
there's a
sur les indicateurs
transparency
clairs
at
de
the
performance
institutional level
environnementale,
about
la
KPIs,
gestion des risques
environmental
au
KPIs,
niveau
risk
institutionnel
management
et
at
la
the
gestion des
level of
risques
the
au niveau des
institution, and
clients.
client level
Et
risk
aussi, on a
management.
des
And
quatre
again, we have
niveaux:
four
débutant,
different
basique,
levels:
compétent et
beginner,
avancé.
basic, competent, and advanced.
Finalement, la troisième
Then we
dimension,
have the final
on
third
se demande
dimension,
qu'est-ce que
which
c'est
is the
l'environnement
enabling
favorable. Alors,
environment.
il
What
y a
would
des
be an
indicateurs qui
enable
sont
environment? There are
pas
indicators here
nécessaires de l'institution de
that
microfinance,
that
mais des pays.
not
Qu'est-ce que c'est la
necessarily
demande?
related to MFIs, but rather
Niveau
the
de la demande de
country.
produits et
So the
services.
level of
Est-ce qu'il y a des
demand for
règlements
products and
euh,
services, if
des
there are
régulations, des
regulations,
directives
if
pour les institutions de microfinance qui
guidelines
sont en
for
place au niveau
MFIs are in
national,
place,
qui les
maybe
sont
at the national
obligeants,
level, that would
obligeants à
encourage
offrir
or
des
oblige them
financements
to
verts
provide
dans
green
des
finance and
conditions
favorable
favorables.
terms.
Est-ce qu'il y a des partenaires?
For
Il y a des partenaires soutenant les
partners
institutions de
supporting
microfinance
MFIs in
internationaux ou
development of
locaux
green finance
pour le
projects and
développement des projets de finance
dedicated
verte. Et finalement,
programs and
enfin, un
and
programme dédié
ongoing
spécifiquement
initiatives,
pour les
maybe
institutions de
for
microfinance
MFIs
avec
to develop green
des
finance
institutions différentes. Est-ce qu'il y a des
for the
programmes ou
different
pas?
institutions.
Euh,
Do they have
on a
such
quatre
programs?
niveaux,
And
aucune,
again, we have four levels:
moyen et
none,
haut.
low, average,
Alors,
and high.
je vais
And
présenter les
so
résultats
I am going to present the
et je vais
result,
répéter. On a
and I'm
eu
going
les
to
réponses des
repeat.
trois
We
institutions de
had the
microfinance
answers of
les plus
four
grandes. Alors, pour la
institutions.
stratégie verte, on a ici
For green strategy
la
here,
première, le plan
the
stratégique
first one is the strategic plan
concept
that
de
integrates
protection
concepts
de
of
l'environnement ou de
environmental
la
protection
résilience
or climate
climatique.
resilience.
La moitié, oui et non. Non et non, ne
Yes or no?
prévoyons pas de le faire.
No, we
Une
do not
personne ou un
plan to
comité
do
chargé
so,
de
or no,
gérer
we
toutes les questions
do not have
environnementales
any
pour les trois
plans.
institutions
So
abusées.
a
C'est
person or a committee
personne
responsible for
rend
managing
compte
all
de ses
environmental
performances environnementales
matters
et rapporte sur les performances
and
environnementales au
be
public
accountable
avec
for its
des
environmental
clients
performance with
et
the
des
board of
employés de microfinance.
directors and the
Alors,
investors.
on voit que pour
We
les
can
institutions de
see that
microfinance, et ça c'est
for
important aussi,
MFIs, and this is
pour le
important
secteur en général,
too,
il
and
y
for the
a déjà
sector,
un travail
also
dans
there
l'institution
is
pour mettre en
a
place une
development
stratégie
within
verte.
institutions to put in place a green
Pour
strategy.
l'évaluation des risques,
For the risk
on a vu
management,
qu'on
we
avait
had saw that
seulement une institution
there only one
développe des activités
institution
liées à la gestion des risques
is
et les
implementing
activités
risk
sont nous formons
management
nos clients aux pratiques permettant
activities,
de
where they
réduire
say
ou
we train our
d'éviter des
clients in
impacts négatifs sur
in
l'environnement.
practices to reduce or
Et
avoid
nous
negative
aidons
impacts on the
nos
environment,
clients à développer
and
des
we help our
entreprises
clients
innovant des
develop
pratiques,
businesses
des
that
produits
promote green
écologiques
practices
avec
or
soutien
products.
et formation aux clients,
So
pour les
support
clients.
and training to clients.
Après, on va voir
And
qu'est-ce
then
qu'ils sont les
we will
activités
see
liées à la
what
gestion
are
des
the
risques
activities
et
that are
aux défis.
linked to
Alors,
risk
on a vu
management and challenges. So we
j'ai
have
parlé
here,
des activités
I
à mettre en
spoke
place
about
et des
activities to be
activités
put in
prévues
place and
et
implemented,
des
and
institutions qui n'ont pas
activities
encore
planned,
fait
and
cette activité,
institutions
ils
who have
planifient
not done
de le faire. Alors,
these
ça, c'est
activities yet,
aussi
but
une
plan
bonne
to do
nouvelle. Il y
so.
a
And this is
la
also good
volonté
news,
de faire
as there
de faire
is
cette activité
certainly a
et
will
pour
to develop such
l'institution de
activities for
microfinance
institutions, microfinance
qui
institutions,
fait déjà cette
and
activité
are already
doit
implementing
aussi
such
dire qu'il
activities.
manque
And
vraiment les défis
also
que
there is a lack
l'institution
of
a, c'est la manque,
and also the
manque de
challenges
connaissances, manque
that
d'outils appropriés,
there's a lack
personnel non
of
motivé et
knowledge,
deux
lack of
institutions
collaboration, lack of
indiquent
appropriate tools,
manque de
and motivated
collaboration
staff.
avec les autres parties prenantes. Alors, on offre
So
cet
we
webinaire,
offer this webinar,
cet espace pour
we offer
partager
this
avec d'autres
space to
acteurs,
share with
pour
other
écouter
actors, and also to
et
listen
apprendre les
and
besoins des
learn
institutions de
the
microfinance, qu'est-ce
needs
qu'on
of
peut offrir comme assistance
the needs
technique
of the microfinance institutions. What can we offer in terms
avec
of
des
technical
programmes,
assistance
où
with
est-ce qu'on peut aider
programs?
des institutions.
Where can we help
Et
institutions?
enfin,
And
des produits verts
finally,
en
in
secteur
terms of green product
d'agriculture.
for the agricultural
Une
sector,
institution offre
when an
produits
institution
ou
offers
services financiers
green
pour
uh,
l'État, pour situation d'urgence et des chocs
offers
climatiques,
green products
production
for
végétale,
emergencies and
pêche et
shocks,
gestion
for
des
crop
déchets,
production,
gestion
for
de
the
l'eau,
fisheries,
et deux
waste management,
institutions
water
n'offrent pas
management,
ces produits.
and two institutions
Des
do not
produits
offer
verts
such
pour
products.
ménages et
In terms of
entreprises,
green
on a
products for
l'offert
households and businesses, we
technologie
have
d'énergie
renewable
renouvelable,
energy
mesures
technologies,
d'efficacité énergétique
uh,
et
energy efficiency
produits pour la
measures,
gestion des
waste
déchets.
management,
Et pour ça,
and
alors,
for this,
on va voir
we
après qu'est-ce qu'ils sont, non, qu'est-ce qu'ils
we
sont
will
cette offerte.
see
Et
what do
pour
they offer
finaliser,
for
le
to
cadre,
finalize the
cette image
framework,
de où se
or
trouve
this image of
la
where
microfinance durable
the
en Tunisie,
where
basée dans
sustainable
l'étude. On
microfinance
a les
stands in
caractéristiques
Tunisia
de
based on
l'offre
this
verte
study. We have the
avec,
features or characteristics of the green
avec
offer
une formation
with the
qui
training,
c'est la source de financement pour les produits verts.
what is the
Ils sont
financing for
surtout
green
la ligne de
products, and in
crédit des
particular
investisseurs.
the credit
Et
line for
après, on
investors.
a aussi
And then
les,
we also
si
have
des institutions de microfinance offrent des
the
incitations
MFIs that offer
dans les conditions de crédit pour les produits
incentives
verts, des
for
institutions
green
indiquent.
products.
Et on a aussi
And
demandé
this,
est-ce que
we
vous
also
avez des
asked if
alliances avec
they
d'autres
have
acteurs
any
pour
alliances
proposer
with other
des prêts
actors
verts.
to
Et
offer green
les deux
loans.
institutions n'offrent
And
pas,
for two
les deux
institutions,
institutions
they
qui offrent
said
ces produits
the two institutions that
offrent
offer
les
this
produits avec
product
des partenariats.
offer products
Pas,
with in
pas toutes seules.
partnership, not all of
Alors,
them.
avec
So
cette présentation,
with this
euh,
presentation,
je
I
suis contente
conclude.
et ravie
I am
d'écouter
glad
aussi
and I'm really
notre
happy
collègue
to
des
listen to
institutions de
our
microfinance,
other colleagues from
d'apprendre plus en détail
MFIs
les
and
résultats de l'étude
with
qu'on a
more
fait
details in
et
the
découvrir
study we
aussi
did, and to
qu'est-ce qui sont
cover
les défis et les
also what
recommandations
are the
de
challenges and the
développement
recommendations and the
chaque institution.
developments of each
Merci
institution.
beaucoup et alors
Thank you very
on
much,
va, on va continuer avec
and we will
Monsieur
continue
Kamel Saibi,
with Mr.
directeur
Kamer
de
Saibi,
l'institution
who
DAM,
is the
avec
director
le
of the
voyage vers la
institution DAM,
microfinance verte dans
with
l'institution.
the journey to
Et,
green
pour
microfinance.
le moment,
And
je dois dire
for,
qu'on va
I
partager la
have to say
présentation,
that
aussi
we're going to share
l'enregistrement.
the presentation and
Donc,
the
vous pouvez
the
mettre vos
recording of the
questions dans le
session,
chat
so
et
you can put
on va
your
les
questions in
répondre
the
après
chat
la
and we will
présentation.
answer them
Merci
after.
beaucoup.
the
Monsieur,
presentation.
Monsieur
Thank
Kamel
you.
Saibi.
Mr. Kamel Saibi,
Oui,
please.
merci.
Yes, thank you.
Merci déjà pour l'invitation.
Thank you
Je
for the
rejoins
invitation.
Monsieur Mansour
I would like
pour adresser
to
un message de
support what
solidarité
Mr. Mansour said and address his
aux peuples
solidarity, a
marocains
message of
et libyens
solidarity
pour la
to the Libyan
catastrophe,
and Moroccan
les catastrophes qu'ils
people
ont eues,
for
le
the
séisme au
both
Maroc et
catastrophes that hit them,
les
the
inondations,
earthquake in Morocco and floods in
chroniques,
Libya.
choses qui nous incitent à réfléchir
These are
encore mieux
things that push us to
à mettre en
think
place des
further
outils
about implementing
pour
tools
limiter le réchauffement
to
climatique
mitigate
et
climate
pour
change and
mettre en place et
and
développer
put
une
in
économie
place and
durable.
develop a
Alors, le
green and
CFE
sustainable environment. So
est conscient de l'importance
see,
de la finance verte et
so we
vient
are
vraiment
aware of
dénoncer au
the
niveau de la société
importance
une
of
réflexion
the
qui se base
microfinance, of green
sur deux
finance,
axes.
and
Le
we have
premier
launched
concerne
uh,
le bilan
work
carbone
about
des
two
CFE,
aspects. First,
de DAM.
the
CFE a changé
internal
de
carbon
dénomination commerciale
footprint
pour
of
passer à DAM.
CFE, which has
Donc,
become DAM
l'empreinte
today.
carbone de DAM,
So the
quelles
footprint
sont
of
les
DAM,
solutions derrière.
what are
Et
the
la
solutions behind
deuxième,
that? And also the second
deuxième concerne
aspect is
l'exposition du
about the
portefeuille
exposure of
de
DAM's
DAM,
portfolio to
le portefeuille client de DAM
the
pour
client
chaque risque
portfolio
climatique.
to each
Donc,
climate risk.
c'était un point de
So
départ pour nous
this
pour
was
essayer
a
de trouver
starting point
les
for us
mesures
to
à
try
mettre en
to
place et
find
les
the
outils à mettre en
measures
place
to be
pour
put in
limiter
place to mitigate
notre empreinte carbone
our
et
footprint
pour
and
aider nos
to
clients
help
à passer à des outils respectueux de l'environnement.
and
Euh,
help our clients
les
put in
études
place tools that are
réalisées
eco-friendly.
et
The
au
studies to
sein de la
be
société
carried out within society
ont ressorti,
have shown,
plutôt pour DAM, pour
in
l'institution
particular
elle-même,
for DAM, for the
des
institution
résultats
itself,
dont on n'est pas
some
fier.
results that
On
we
n'est
are
pas
not
fier,
so proud of. We
mais
are not proud, but
on est
we
confronté à
we
certains
are
obstacles.
have to face
Si
some
vous pouvez
obstacles.
changer de slide, s'il vous plaît.
If you could
On est
please
confronté à
go
certains
forward with the
obstacles
slides. So we are facing some
d'ordre
obstacles that
réglementaire.
are
Je vais
at
vous
the
donner un peu
regulatory or document at the document
l'empreinte
level.
carbone,
I'll
le
give you
bilan carbone
the
de DAM.
carbon footprint of
DAM a
DAM.
émis à peu près
DAM
127 tonnes de
emitted
CO2.
about
C'est
127
l'équivalent de
tons of CO2
548 000 kilomètres
equivalent,
parcourus en voiture,
equivalent of
où le
548,000
carbone
kilometers
stocké
in
par
car,
705
or
arbres.
the carbon stocked by
C'est
705
pas
trees.
vraiment rassurant.
It's not really
On a
reassuring.
imprimé plus de
We
800
have
000 feuilles,
printed over
5 500
500,000,
feuilles par employé.
800,000 sheets of paper, 5,500 sheets
Et les feuilles
by
représentent à peu près 30%
employee, and paper
de
represents
notre
about
empreinte carbone. Alors
30% of
pourquoi
our total
on n'est pas fier?
emissions. So why is
Ça
it
c'est
that we are
certain.
not proud? We
Pourquoi
are not proud, that's for
on est
sure.
obligé? Parce que
Why
nous on
we
essaye
have
de
to, because
limiter.
we are trying
On a
to
mis en place des règles,
mitigate,
des
to
procédures en
restrict, to
interne
put in place
pour
regulations and
limiter
procedures at
notre
the internal level
consommation
to limit
de
our
papier
consumption of
et notre
paper
consommation électrique,
and our
notre
electric
consommation liée au
consumption,
chauffage, à la
our
climatisation. C'est
for
des
about
choses
heating
qu'on
and
peut faire. Il y a
air
des choses,
conditioning. These are things that we
il y a
can do, but there
certains
are
éléments
things
qu'on
also,
ne peut
some
pas changer.
elements
On ne peut
that we
pas
cannot change. We
faire un
cannot
financement
do
sans contrat.
finance
On ne peut pas
products
faire un
without
financement, mettre en
a
place un
contract. We
financement
cannot
sans
put in
fonds de
place
déplacement.
a
Donc il y a
contract
des
without
choses qu'on ne
traveling
peut
and
pas
going places. So there are
faire tout
things
seul.
that we
Il
cannot
faut une
do
forte
on our
collaboration
own. We have
entre
this calls for collaboration
nos
between different
institutions, les
different
IMF
institutions,
et le
MFIs,
gouvernement. Moi, je pense qu'il y a une forte
and the government.
volonté
I believe
de
there
part
is
et
a
d'autre,
strong
mais il
will from
faut
both
agir
sides,
rapidement
but we have to
pour,
act quickly
pour
to
limiter ces
limit
émissions.
these
La
emissions.
deuxième étude
The second
concerne,
study is
concerne
about
l'impact
the
du
impact
portefeuille,
of the
du
client
portefeuille
portfolio
client
of DAM
pour l'impact
on
le risque climatique pour
the
notre
climate,
portefeuille
the
client.
exposure of DAM portfolio to
Comme
climate risk.
vous le voyez,
As you
il y a
can
un
see
risque.
here,
On a pris
there is a
un
risk,
échantillon
and we took a
et un
sample
risque
here,
très important.
and there is a very high risk.
Il est très fort
It's
par
very
rapport aux
high
inondations côtières.
in for example,
36%.
coastal floods,
Il
36%.
est aussi
It's
très
also
fort par
a
rapport
strong
aux chaleurs
high
extrêmes de 21%.
for extreme heat
Là,
at about
je pense que
21%. And
les
here
amis
I
tunisiens qui
think
sont
that
présents
my
savent
Tunisian
très bien qu'on
friends
a
that
un
are
problème
here
de
know that we
sécheresse,
have a
manque d'eau
drought
en Tunisie.
issue and a water scarcity
Nous
issue in
sommes
Tunisia.
sur à peu près
So
1000
we
kilomètres de
are,
côte, un peu
we
plus.
have about 1,000
Et donc,
kilometers of
l'inondation côtière,
coastal
c'est
areas,
quelque
and so
chose
coastal
de
flooding
très impactant
is
sur
something that
les
has a
activités
high
économiques.
impact
Et donc,
for economic
nous avons essayé
activities,
de
and so we have
définir,
tried to define
par risque
define
climatique l'impact
by
qu'on peut
climate
avoir
risk the impact we
sur,
can
sur
have
nos activités
on
et sur
our
l'échantillon défini.
activities, on the
Pourquoi on a fait
define
ça?
the
On a fait
sample
ça
defined. Why
pour
did we do this? We
essayer
did this to
de
try
définir
to
un
define
peu un plan d'action
more or
qui nous
less an
permet
action plan that would allow us or
de
enable us
limiter
to
ces risques.
limit
Alors, le plan
these or
d'action
mitigate these risks. So the
pour le
action plan
CFE,
for a
c'est
CFE is
on a limité
one, we
de
have
manière
limited in
exponentielle la consommation de papier
highly
en
the
interne.
consumption of paper
On
at the
a
internal
aussi
level. We
étudié,
have
on a déménagé
looked
dans un nouveau
and
siège.
we have moved
On a
to
mis
a
en
new
place
office, and we put in
une
place
étude pour limiter la consommation d'énergie.
consultancy
On a mis même
departments, and we
des
are looking
moniteurs
at how we can
qui
reduce
vont
AC
contrôler
consumption.
la
We also have
consommation et ils
a
vont,
monitoring system that will watch the
ils
consumption,
vont nous
and
donner
the
exactement
system will
quel
give us
point,
exactly what are the
quel
points
endroit consomme le
or
plus
what are
d'énergie.
the
Et
locations
je
that
suis
use
fier
more
de dire qu'il y a
energy. And I'm
une
proud to
société, une
say
start-up
that
tunisienne
there
qui a
is
développé un
a
outil
Tunisian startup that has
exceptionnel dans ce
developed a
sens.
tool that
Je
is
ne sais pas si vous
exceptional
connaissez
for
what
this. I
now.
don't know if we
C'est
know
des moniteurs
what
en
now.
place
These are
au
monitors
siège
that we
des
put
agences
at
qui vont nous
the
donner
head
exactement
office and branches, and
à
will
quel
give us
endroit on a
exactly
une
where it
consommation
is
forte
that we
d'énergie et à
have
quel
a
moment.
strong
On
energy
essaye de
consumption and in what
monitorer
time. So we try
notre
to
plan
monitor
d'action en fonction
our
de ces
action
risques.
plan based on
Donc ça,
these
c'est par
results.
rapport
So
au
this
CFE,
is
par rapport
about CFE.
à la clientèle.
As for
Nous avons
clients, we
étudié
have looked at
les risques
the
par
risks
région.
by region.
Nous sommes en train aussi de
We
faire
are
un travail de
also
fond par
working
secteur
on
d'activité, par, par
looking
genre,
at sectors of
par
activity
gouvernorat
by
et
gender, by
les équipes
governorate, and
en
also the teams
collaboration
at the
avec un certain
internal level
nombre
in
de partenaires
collaboration with some
étrangers sont
partners,
en train de
foreign
mettre en place
partners, are putting
des
in
solutions
place
pour,
solutions
pour limiter
to limit
l'impact climatique
the impact,
sur,
the climate impact
sur le
on
portefeuille client.
on
Si vous pouvez
the
passer au slide
customer
d'après, s'il vous plaît.
portfolio. If you could move to next slide, please.
Alors,
So,
l'échantillon dont je parlais
so the sample I was talking about,
concerne à peu près
it's
1,5 million
about
de dinars crédits.
1.5 million
Un
dinars in
risque
loans.
moyen,
The
c'est
average
à peu
risk
près
is
un tiers, un
more or
tiers,
less
un risque moyen, un
one
risque
third,
faible
one third, one
et un
third.
risque
So we
élevé.
have
30%,
low,
à
average, and
30% de
high
risque
risk.
élevé, c'est énorme.
33%
C'est un
for
gros
high
risque
risk. That's
par
huge. That's a
rapport
very big risk
à notre portefeuille.
for
Donc,
our portfolio. So
nous sommes conscients,
we are
convaincus
aware and
que mettre en
convinced
place
that putting
rapidement
in
un
place
plan d'action
quickly an action
est
plan
nécessaire pour
is
protéger
necessary
nos
to
clients
protect
et nous
our
protéger
clients
nous-mêmes.
and protect ourselves.
Alors, les enseignements de l'étude.
So the lessons
Donc,
learned from this study,
on doit déjà
we first need
faire une
to
analyse beaucoup plus fine
do an analysis that
par
is
secteur
more
d'activité.
refined by sector
Quelles
of
sont les
activity,
activités les plus,
and what are the activities that are
les plus
more
touchées par ces risques climatiques et
more
quelles sont les activités
impacted by these
qui ont une
climate
empreinte
risks? What are the
carbone
activities also
très
that
élevée.
have a
Et comment
higher a
peut
carbon
limiter
footprint, and how could we
l'émission de
mitigate
CO2
the
de ces
emissions
activités
of
et comment on peut
carbon
participer
emissions of these
à
activities, and
l'émission
how could we
de CO2,
contribute to
CO2 pour ces activités.
reduce
On veut
the
faire
carbon
aussi
emissions of these activities. Also, we want to
affiner l'étude par tranche de
refine
crédit
the study
inférieure
by
à 5 000, entre 5 et
the
15 000 et supérieur
tranche of
à 5
borrowing
000, la
lower than
typologie de la
5,000,
clientèle à risque.
between 5 and 15,000,
Et
and over
les
15,000.
premiers résultats
Typology of at-risk clients,
montrent
and the
que
first results of the
il y a à peu
study
près 20
show
à 30
that there's about
de nos
80 to
clients qui représentent
it's 80 to
80% du risque.
20 analysis that
Et donc,
represent
en agissant sur une
risks.
petite population,
20% of our
on peut
clients
avoir
are generating
un très bon
80% of the
résultat.
risk. So by acting on a small portion of our clients, we
Ça,
can
c'est
have very
un.
good
Et
results.
deux, si vous
And
revenez à
the
la carte,
second
vous allez
point
trouver
also,
ici,
if we go back to the
si vous
map,
pouvez revenir à
if
la
you could
carte,
go back to
s'il
the
vous
map,
plaît,
please,
la carte de la Tunisie, vous allez vous apercevoir rapidement
you will
que
see quickly that
les zones rouges qui sont trop
the
risquées représentent une grande
the
partie
red
des
areas
risques climatiques,
represent
mais
high
qui ne
risk
sont
of
pas des
climate
zones
risk,
très
but
développées
these
économiquement.
are not areas that are not very economically
Donc,
developed.
moi, je
So
vais parler de
I am
DAM,
going to talk about
la
dam
partie
here,
à
the
l'extrême
part
nord,
in the
c'est là où se concentrent à
extreme
peu
north.
près
That's
40% de
where
nos activités.
we
Donc,
have about
40% de nos
40% of our
activités
activities.
sont
So
concernées par un
40% of
risque
our
élevé
activities are
de
impacted or present a
un risque élevé lié à
or high
l'environnement.
risk linked to the related to the environment.
Microfinance durable,
So sustainable
c'est quoi
microfinance,
la
what
réalisation
are
de
the
DAM?
achievements of DAM?
Déjà, nous sommes en plein dedans, nous sommes
We
en train de
working
changer le
right on
système
that. We
d'information.
are redesigning our
Ça nous
information
prend
system. This
beaucoup
is
ça
taking
nécessite beaucoup d'efforts et beaucoup
this
d'énergie.
calls for a lot of effort
L'objectif,
and a lot of
c'est
energy. The first
d'améliorer notre manière
objective
de faire avec
is
nos clients
to
et
improve or our way of
d'arriver à une
working with
certaine
customers and
digitalisation. Tout à
reaching
l'heure, vous
some
avez
form of
parlé de la finance
digitization.
numérique.
You were all talking about
Nous
digital
sommes,
finance earlier.
c'est
We
un
are
sujet d'actualité pour
actually,
nous.
this is a
Nous sommes en plein dedans. Nous
subject that
avons
we are
lancé
really
en
working
même
on.
temps
We
que la
have
refonte
launched at the same
ISI,
time with
un
the
programme de
IS
digitalisation
redesign, a
avec l'IFI,
digitization
qui est
program with
l'Institut
the
financier international, filiale de la
IS,
Banque mondiale. Donc, pour arriver à une
ICF, which
digitalisation
is part
au
of the
niveau des équipes
World
CFE
Bank
déjà,
group,
et
and we are
essayer
working within
d'arriver
our
avec les
teams
clients
already, and then we will try to do the same thing with
au
our
même résultat.
clients and reach the same result with
Nous
our
avons aussi
clients. We
lancé
have
l'association
also
DAM, qui,
launched
elle,
the
s'occupe.
DAM NGO,
C'est
which
une
will be
fondation à but
it's
non
a
lucratif,
foundation,
à but
non-profit
non lucratif, qui a pour
foundation,
vocation
and
d'accompagner
it
les clients et de
aims
mettre en
to
place,
support companies
de
and put in
fournir des
place
consultants
and provide the
et fournir
consultants
l'assistance
and
nécessaire
provide
pour nos clients
necessary
pour se mettre à niveau sur plusieurs
support for
sujets,
our
y compris
clients to be
y compris
updated and to
le volet
be,
environnement.
and in
Et
particular on
enfin,
the environmental
on a mis en place un produit vert.
level.
Un
And
produit
we have
vert
also developed a green
qui
product,
donne
that
des
is
rabais et
that
des coûts
offers
beaucoup moins
discounts
chers en termes
and
de coûts de sortie
costs is
pour
much
les
less
clients
costly for clients and
qui vont privilégier
the clients who will
un équipement respectueux de l'environnement.
prefer
C'est un
an
programme que nous avons
eco-friendly
lancé avec
equipment. This is
l'AME
program we
Agence
launched
nationale
with the IMO,
de la
which is the
maîtrise
National Agency
de
for
l'énergie.
Energy
Je
Conservation.
ne sais pas si je me
And
trompe
I
sur
don't know, maybe I'm
l'appellation.
mistaken here about
Donc,
the
nous
name.
avons lancé un
Anyway,
programme
we
avec un
launched
certain nombre
this
de fournisseurs,
program
avec
with
l'ANME
some
et DAM.
providers,
Et
suppliers with NMO and DAM.
dans ce programme,
And
il y a des coûts de
in
sortie
this
beaucoup
program,
moins
there
chers.
are
Il y a des
the
subventions
costs
de l'État
are much lower. There are subsidies
pour
from
les
the
clients qui
government
utilisent ces
for
produits. On
customers who
essaye
use these products. So we
de
try
favoriser
to favor
les produits respectueux de
the
l'environnement que
eco-friendly
les
products
produits
rather than
qui sont pas en or.
products which are not compliant.
Alors, Je ne
So
sais pas si j'ai dépassé mon
I don't
timing
know
ou...
if I
Oui, c'est
have
ça. Alors,
exceeded my time or
si vous
not.
Bon,
pouvez
Yes,
finaliser,
if you
bon.
oui. Et très
could
rapidement.
sum up,
Je
please.
finalise.
So I
C'est un sujet
finalize. This is a subject
d'actualité.
that is
Tout le
Oui.
monde
an
en
update
train de voir ce qui
subject.
passe
Everyone is
avec nos
looking at
voisins.
whatever is happening with our
J'espère que
neighbors. I
ils
hope
vont
that
s'en sortir
I think they
beaucoup
will
plus forts que
make
vont
it
sortir
through
plus
and
forts
be
de cette
stronger
crise. Nous sommes
from
conscients,
these
il faut qu'on
crises.
travaille.
We
C'est
are
pas
aware we have to
uniquement le
work.
travail
This is
des
not
IMF,
just
ce n'est pas
about
uniquement le travail
the
du
work of
gouvernement,
MFIs. It's
ce n'est
not
pas
just about the
uniquement le travail
government.
des clients,
It's
c'est une
not just
collaboration
about
entre
the
tout le monde.
clients. It's
Tout
a
le monde doit être
collaboration with
conscient.
everyone.
On doit
Everyone has to be
probablement
aware,
lancer des
and we will
programmes de
certainly
communication
have to
pour
launch
tous les
communication
partenaires
programs where
derrière
all partners
parce que
should take part because
il y a un équilibre à trouver
there is a
entre
balance
réalité
to that
économique
we need to
et
strike between
protection
economic
de nos clients.
realities and
Les clients
environmental
ne sont
protection.
pas
Our
vraiment,
clients
ils voient pas ça en tant que priorité absolue.
don't really
C'est
see
des
as an
clients
absolute
qui sont
priority. These are
qui
clients
n'arrivent
who
pas à trouver
are not able to
bien clôturer leur
strike
fin de mois.
a
Et donc,
balance at the end of the
il faut
month.
qu'on communique, il faut qu'on
And we
trouve des
need to
solutions
communicate, we need to find
rapidement
solutions
pour
quickly
sortir de...
to
Moi, je considère qu'on est dans une
to
impasse.
overcome this. I can
Il
think we are
trouver toujours des
in a
solutions.
bottleneck
Voilà,
here,
merci et
but there are
désolé
always
pour
solutions.
le
Thank
dépassement
you,
de
and I'm
temps.
sorry for exceeding my time.
Allô?
Hello, Natalia.
Monsieur Saibi, je suis très contente
Mr. Sabi, I'm very happy with your presentation. For me,
mon admiration pour
my
partager
admiration
les
for
chiffres
sharing
avec
with
sincérité.
such,
Où situent les institutions
sincerity.
les
Where
résultats?
is where's the
Et
institution
aussi,
at and the
s'il n'y a
results?
pas de
So for
résultats
this, and these are not just
fiers un moment,
the results,
mais,
so if you
mais
want
c'est
them, you
important
need
pour
they're
tout le
important
secteur
for now, just for you, but for the whole sector
institutions
of
ici que nous
everything,
accompagnent
the in
aujourd'hui,
microfinance
de
institutions
voir
we are
que toutes les
supporting today,
institutions ont
to see that all
il y
institutions,
a des problèmes, des
are
défis,
facing the same
que
threats
c'est
and that there are
important d'avoir
challenges, problems, and it's
un
important
directeur, que
to
c'est
have a
directrice,
see
que
with a
c'est
manager,
de
or
croire
director, he
dans,
or she, that it's
dans cette
important to see,
stratégie, dans
to
cette
believe in the strategy
chemin, comme c'est dit, cette ligne de travail, que c'est
and
important
this,
pour les clients.
working
Vous avez
line,
dit que c'est
that's very important for your
notre
clients. You said
priorité, c'est
our
notre client.
priority is our client,
On
no matter
espère que
what.
pour toutes les institutions,
We hope
c'est
that
comme
for
ça.
all institutions, it
Notre
will be the
priorité,
same.
c'est notre client
Our
et
priority
notre
is
pays.
our client,
Et
client
j'espère
and
qu'on
our
pourra
country always.
laisser
And
un
I hope
environnement
that we're
favorable
gonna
pour nos enfants.
leave a
Alors,
favorable
on va
environment or good
partager
environment
la
for our
présentation. Il
children.
y a
So
beaucoup
we will
d'informations,
share
mais
the
on voudrait
PowerPoint
aussi
with our
écouter
participants. There's a lot of information,
l'expérience
but
de
we
Enda
would like to
Tamwil
also hear the
sur
experience of
les
Enda Tamwil
recommandations, l'étude
and
de
also the
Madame Nadia
recommendations
Mansour.
of
Il y a
the
déjà,
study carried
Monsieur
out by Mrs.
Saïbi,
Nadia
il y a
Mansour.
déjà
We already
des
have
questions pour
questions
vous. Vous pouvez
for you,
répondre déjà dans le chat
if you can
et on
answer them
attend
in the
la
chat,
discussion
or
après les présentations.
we can wait for the Q&A after the presentations.
C'est à vous de me, c'est à vous de me dire.
In whichever way you
Si
want
j'ai
me
du
to
temps
do
pour
it,
les
if you
réponses,
can give me time for
sinon je vais
answers.
repartir
Otherwise, I
sur...
will go
Vous
back to the
pouvez déjà
questions.
commencer, mais
You can
Je vais
start
rentrer sur
already.
le chat
I will
avant
go have a look on the chat and answer some of
aussi
the
écouter
questions.
à Monsieur
We would
Khereddin
also
Kaya
like to hear from
Enda
Mr.
Tamwil.
Khairuddin Kaya from Enda
Alors,
Tamwil.
merci beaucoup pour votre présentation. Khereddin,
So thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. Khairuddin.
bonjour.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Oui, Khereddin. Monsieur
Yes,
Khereddin
Khairuddin.
Kaya qui
Yes,
s'occupe
Mr. Khairuddin
actuellement
Kaya
dans le poste
is
responsable de la stratégie
currently
agricole
in charge
environnementale de
of
Enda Tamwil.
environmental agricultural
On
strategy
a
of Enda
aussi écouté à
Tamwil.
Monsieur
We have
Kaya
also heard
l'an dernier
from
dans l'atelier
Mr. Kaya last
microfinance
year in the
durable.
microfinance
Et
workshop, sustainable
aujourd'hui, on
microfinance
voudrait
workshop last year. And
savoir les
today we would
actualités
like
de
to know
ENDA
what's our latest
où est-ce
news from
que
ENDA
vous
and see
arrivez
where
avec
you
votre
are
travail.
at with your work. Where have you reached? Thank you. Thank you very much, for this, the invitation. So, for this, and for ASM Tunisia. So once again, I'd like to join my colleagues and my, colleagues to express our support from ENDA for our friends both in Morocco and Libya for the floods and the earthquakes that have occurred in both these countries. So my presentation today aims to share with you the the experience of Enda Tamwil, as the case of the MFI and the Tamwil, which we consider to be our choice for the future. So if we could go to the next slide. So Enda Tamwil, when we speak about Enda Tamwil, that's 30 years of financial inclusion in Tunisia, an experience that allowed us to raise or bring Enda to the main, I mean, the main actor for microfinance in Tunisia, with about 2,900 employees, and is present in all the regions through its networks of branches, and its 5 mobile offices that operate in the various remote regions. For the past 30 years, over 1 million Tunisians have been able to benefit from its products, its microloans, insurance, and digital services, and also, non-financial services, thanks to the commitment of its NGO partner and Inter-Arab. Next slide, please. Of course, one of the questions we ask is, why did Enda Tamwil decide to move towards green finance and sustainable finance? So Enda puts customer at the heart of its issues, concerns. So our work its work is articulated around a set of values, including social responsibility and corporate social responsibility. The social responsibility aims targets its clients and its co-workers, but also the environment, and considers that to commit or to put in place a strategy, its corporate strategy, which aims mainly 6 SDGs. So we committed to vulnerable populations under SDG 1. So in order to reduce poverty that is present in its mission, its social mission. So in fact, nearly 70% of the beneficiaries of and microcredit belong to the poor and very poor, groups. And so these are indicators that allow us to, assess these beneficiaries of our, and also the gender point or SDG 5, and works on promoting entrepreneurship for women and women empowerment. Since its activity started since 1995, 65% of loans granted are for women. Young people are also considered as an important line, and thus put in place a whole series of mechanisms to strengthen this mechanism. And 40% of our clients served are young people under the age of 35. Agriculture is, SDG 2 is an important strategic axis in Tunisia, as it contributes to the food independence and to also as a part of the SDGs. Nearly 30% of Enda's loan stock is dedicated to agriculture with climate change. Enda found that it has committed to develop a green finance through different financial products that we will see further in detail, and also education. So with a credit line, mostly to support the children of our clients to access education, but also through actions to re-establish, all schools in remote and, left behind. And of course, all this responds to standards and to reporting standards, both internally and externally. Next slide, please. Well, the question is, what is the state of green microfinance and ENDA? First of all, ENDA has been working since 2019 to set up and develop a green finance strategy. So, with the green fund by an ADA, and then it was supported by strategy for this. And the strategy we chose to develop, you know, uh, the uh, the funding for green energy and also for energy sufficiency, but also to strengthen, the financing of circular economy. And that has also worked to review, first of all, and develop a system, an environmental and social and environmental management system. So, because we were convinced that developing green products can. So, if there's no control, or if there isn't really it's an awareness from its personnel and clients to have a negative impact. And as such, our system was reviewed, and this was allowed us to develop and to review the procedures for this. And the indicators put in place, but also to put in place regular reporting to monitor environmental and social risk. Also, and worked on its CSR, responsibility that gives to the environmental and social aspect a high importance in terms of the scope. Three green products were set up: a product for circular economy, there's a one for EcoPre and EcoShams for renewable energies, dedicated mostly to photovoltaic and solar energy, and a product to develop this for this. In terms of non-financial services, in terms of to encourage its personnel, and so to contribute to this new mindset. So we had awareness campaigns and also revision of the motivation system. To encourage personnel to give more importance for the green portfolio of ENDA in terms of structures. So a dedicated team was hired to work on green finance and climate finance. So next slide, please. So the different challenges so that ENDA is facing. So this is a main challenge for its corporate social responsibility and to strengthen and to confirm its societal, social responsibility in the country. So, and is also developing a green portfolio per se. So our strategy is to go to 30% in green loan stock, by 2028. Also, one of the challenges is managing the risks linked to climate change and to the environment generally. And so yes, behind all there's a whole strategy that was developed with partners and with actors from the ecosystem to be able to manage this aspect. And also one of the challenges is how to attract new donors who are aware or have awareness of environmental and energy matters. Of course, the challenges for customers community, the ensuring the sustainability of the projects to be financed. It's not just about giving them loans, but also to think about the sustainability of the company and also to try to support clients to put in place a strategic and sustainable, operation. So today, the sustainability of the projects to be financed is strictly correlated to the MFI itself. So the challenge for the clients is to make sure that the financing will have a positive impact on the environment and to ensure to ensure economic profitability, improving living conditions, creating wealth, and contributing to women's empowerment and creating jobs for young people and revitalizing neighborhoods in rural areas where ENDA operates. For our personnel, our priority for our staff to raise awareness within our staff and make sure that everyone plays a role of an agent of change and development at the level of the region or the department where they operate. So today, and through the teams of portfolio staff, we managed to visit about 3,000 households per day. And we think that portfolio management can be an actor of change to bring in certain values and certain behaviors forward to respect the environment. Also, our challenge today is to offer new practical solutions to manage some of the social and environmental risks and to also strengthen the resilience of projects funded, especially in times of crisis. Also to reach new niche markets and to offer green products, financial products who are more adapted to the client's needs. Next slide, please. As I said earlier, it's a whole new mindset that needs to be added to the personnel internally as such and carried out a survey of awareness of its personnel to environmental practices regarding various aspects. So on the right here, you see the results of the survey. These results cover different aspects, such as, for example, water management, and waste management, energy management, etc. So also we have started put in place awareness, environmental practices, awareness workshops to all the personnel of the company, where we try to attract the attention or highlight to the risks, of our personnel to the risks of climate change, and also the notions of green financing and actions, that can bring us an MFI. So for this, through loans or micro credits or through support, technical support. Also, we have reviewed all our training system, and specific modules were added by themes for circular economy, for energy efficiency, or renewable energy. Of course, all these training activities are followed with field work on this to extend these notions so that they become reality in the field. Also, educational capsules were developed so for the ENDA team to expand these notions more, so and to encourage our personnel to go further. So we selected the best people that have green performances at the record, and we publish the results regularly by branch, by region, and by person. Next slide, please. Also for the internal staff, we notice that it's important to work on our beneficiaries or customers in order to bring them, to change over here. And it's true that it's essential to these notions, but there are certain gaps between what we really think and what the field or what's happening on the field. As such, and reviewed its support system, technical, and in cooperation with the Andat Arab NGO, we have tried to raise awareness about environmental issues for these beneficiaries. As such, we selected certain clients that have adopted certain practices or certain equipments with a positive impact through awareness circles, and we'll put them with our clients so they may share their experiences and to convince them, slowly to adopt these new practices so that they are further aware of the benefits of transition to clean energies regarding certain agricultural practices. Our last point is linked to the ecosystem where we operate. It's true that MFI can propose innovative things, but alone we cannot do anything if it does not manage to work in synergy with the actors from the ecosystem surrounding them. As such, and Tamwil has signed an agreement with the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development in Tunisia to work on certain programs linked to the environmental process and biodiversity. Also, ENDA works in cooperation with certain suppliers and photovoltaic equipment suppliers to provide quality equipment with an after-sales event, level for this. And also, ENDA collaborates with innovative green startups that provide very interesting solutions. And without mentioning anyone's name, as we can advertise them, but I can mention the name of a startup with which and that's cooperated for supply certain schools to provide drinking water for schools where there was no access to any water at all. I hope that I have now completed this presentation in time, and I am open for any questions or suggestions. Please go ahead.
Merci beaucoup, Geraldine.
Thank you, Geraldine. It was a pleasure to listen to your work, so to also see the variety of activities, and that you're offering your client. And now, and for our last presentation, we're going to listen to Dr. Nadia Mansour, who's also going to think about your work as Enda Tamwil and the work of DAMT. Mr. Hardy, there are many questions already in the chat for you. Thank you. If you could please answer the question. For the people listening to the presentation with the video, it's good maybe to repeat the questions and answer them. We're gonna manage this later after the last presentation. We will see how to sort this. So I shall invite Dr. Nadia Mansour now to join us to present green banks in Tunisia. Challenge stakes and challenges. Dr. Mrs. Nadia, can you hear me? Yes, yes, Mrs. Nadia. She's a professor at the University of Sousse in Tunisia. She also works with the University of Salamanca and, as postdoctoral student at the University of Salamanca in Spain. Welcome. So we're very happy to see you here with us, Nadia, for your participation here. Thank you very much for the invitation. Very happy to be amongst you today in the workshop on sustainable microfinance in Tunisia. First of all, we need to thank Mrs. Natalia for her invitation. I would like to join our dear colleagues, and if I may say so, and dear participants, and so my students, and I also would like to express my sympathy to our friends and colleagues in Morocco and Libya in these difficult times. Also, it's very important to talk about everything related to climate change. And so here I will take a more specific point of view regarding green finance, and especially green finance. So the Green Bank's our presentation has got 4 elements. So we're going to first define green finance and then talk about the consequences of climate change in Tunisia. Then a few examples of initiatives and activities, voluntary activities of Tunisia. And after that, we will go to conclusions and recommendations. So, green finance, in fact, here first time when I started the study, I went to look at the banking sector. So the notion of ethical bank appeared first in the Federal German Republic in 1974 and followed later in 1994 through the creation of DEVAS, which used the concept of green finance for the first time. And in 2016, the G20 defined green finance by creating a link with investment and financing activities that generate environmental benefits to support sustainable development as per the G20. Afterwards, next slide, please. So on the market, there are, the green bonds here. There are multiple products. It's very important to talk about green bonds. They are issued to make sure that the funds raised are used only for green projects. Today, for example, the World Bank, so we also have other international institutions for financing and development that have issued green bonds in the market, even for Tunisia. There is a manual for the issuance of green bonds, but up until now, it has not. It's not really being implemented in Tunisia. We will see later why. Well, there are also green loans, and of course, there is the green energy certification. These is a certification granted for projects that respect perfectly for this. So now we go to the consequences of climate change in Tunisia. So as you can see here, so 20 so it went to a great increase for between 2016 to 2019 for greenhouse gas effects. So also there's CO2 emissions increased from 209 to 248 metric tons between 2019. In terms of financial damages, also climate change has caused quite important figures. 12,822,959 euros per year, according to the figures issued in 2018. So, and today also, Tunisia is suffering from pollution and is ranked 112th in the ranking of CO2 emissions in 2021 from 184 countries for this. So for a country, such a small country, the figures are quite high for the size of Tunisia. So green banks in Tunisia. So the question is, question is about the role of the central bank for that. And it's more, it has a quite centralized. So first of all, so there's been an attempt at formulating policies and facilitating innovative programs to promote green finance. Also, the promotion of digital economy and sustainable development in the framework of financial inclusion. Also, the development of an institutional framework to facilitate Tunisia's access to economic financing from the Green Climate Fund and also the financial mechanisms of the United Nations. Yes, Tunisia has confirmed the commitment for this for the environment and the support of the green economy and the fight against climate change. But despite all these initiatives, we are still a bit remote from this. We're quite still remote from having, a green bank. So these initiatives are in fact very, very individual and remains up until today only on a voluntary basis. So I'm just going to mention a few examples here only. So, for example, STB created what is called the Eco Car Core Loan, which is destined to finance the purchase of a new, so for the use for a new or used eco-friendly car. There's also the Eco Maison or Eco House loan to finance the construction of a sustainable house. So that is respectful of the environment. So also the Behash Bank, for this, the bank supports green buildings. In a green building, the process of creating structures are environmentally friendly and resources are used efficiently. Also for the Banque de Tunisie, so there's what we call BT Ecolo Loan, which contributes to the financing of projects with environmental protection elements. There's also BT Energio, which helps finance the tangible and intangible projects with an energy saving component. Also for so So there's also, this is complementary to the finance sector because it's going to help the clients that maybe do not have access to the banking sector as such. So it's going to facilitate their task normally. So for this, so so I took here the example of Enda Tamwila. So I here joined Mr. Khairuddin and launched the Eco Pre loan and the Eco Shams loan dedicated to agricultural or farming micro entrepreneurs. Yes, we have had achievements. We've taken a few very important steps, but we're still remote. In fact, there's an implementation of a green banking, sector in Tunisia. And so we are in the final phase, further to the declarations of the central bank governor. The BCT has aligned with the Board of Governors of Arab central banks and monetary institutions since 2016 regarding financial inclusion and green finance. Most banks are committed most of them are committed to voluntarily committed and sustainable finance and have developed green bank strategies. And BCT has also developed partnerships with various international organizations and associations in order to implement green banking strategies. But, however, for regulatory maturity, which was assessed by analyzing government and central bank requirements and the quality of legislations. Only 8 of the emerging countries at this stage are in this advanced stage. Unfortunately, Tunisia is not amongst these 8 countries. However, Tunisia, Morocco is included. It's already included at a very, very early stages for this for Tunisia. Also, in terms of your renewable energies, Tunisia achieved only 4% of renewable energy in its energy mix. So as we're not very proud of this, as Mr. Kamel said, of these results. So in 2022, while our objective was to produce 35% renewable energies, so between 4 and 35%, there's quite a gap. So further to this study, I would like to present some of our recommendations for the banking sector and especially for the central bank of Tunisia. First of all, we need to focus on short-term reform opportunities, given their potential to attract investment and sustain growth, as well as, sustain growth. We can even attract foreign, investors, as well as encourage, the institutional capacity for longer term structural reforms. Second, we need to encourage the involvement of local banks in the financing of renovation projects that, maybe create incentives, or whether for the banks or the investors. So it could be maybe part of the same strategy. So maybe to promote rural, investment in rural areas. So Tunisia has called from lots of encouragement. We can do the same thing for, sustainable finance. Also stimulating investment in sustainable development through financial instruments and tax incentives. It's very important for investors and also to develop a green financial product. So why maybe not through green bonds or green loans for in Tunisia? Our last part here is I will I'll dedicate to this to microfinance. So for microfinance institutions, we can strengthen, financial education programs there was an experience that was carried out successful with an ESET, Higher Studies Institute, which is to orient higher teaching programs to university level. Also, in fact, get closer, get in touch to the academic environment that is increasingly interested in sustainable development and which represents the first nucleus of future entrepreneurs. And here I wear my double hat as a university professor. We always try to organize or hold open days to present and to introduce a sustainable finance to our students in our university teachings. So it would be very important to speak also about this and to collaborate with the, microfinance institutions. Here, the AMC also must play its role fully to strengthen the control of risk related to digitalization and support green projects. And also, continuous development or training in the field of green finance and sustainable developments for the MFIs. So here again, the institutions should collaborate with NGOs and our institutions. And also monitoring and using climate change information at a systemic level. There's a lack of information, an important lack of information on the market. So it was difficult for me to collect any data regarding the microfinance sector and the banks generally in Tunisia, and also at the level of clientele. So also it's very important also to strengthen, energy products and encourage the community projects and promote, low carbon agriculture and strengthen crop choice and farming practices and raise awareness also when the clients, need to deal with climate change issues to do expansion, in this field and attract the attention of our clients on the importance of having projects, green projects to face with this. So this is it. Thank you for your attention. Thank you again, once again, for the invitation and for this webinar. It was very important for me. Thank you. Thank you again, to Natalia, and and I remain available for any additional.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Mansour.
Thank you
Et,
very much, Mrs.
oui,
Mansour.
pour nous, c'est très important, votre
It's
recommandation.
very, your
Si
recommendations
étudier
are very important
dans
to us.
l'académie, votre vision, votre
Your
perspective
vision,
sur le
your
développement
perspective
du
from
secteur bancaire.
an academic
Aussi,
university point of
que
view
les
on the
institutions de
banking
microfinance
sector,
peuvent
what
apprendre
the MFIs could
faire
learn,
pour
what they could
avancer
do to go
leur
forward
travail dans la microfinance
in their
durable.
work
On
in
a beaucoup de
sustainable
questions
microfinance. We have a
et
lot of
déjà
questions, and
dans cette
already
académie au
it's
Tunisie,
already
on a un peu
10:30
de
in
temps.
Tunisia.
La semaine dernière, on
We
a
have
aussi pris
uh,
un peu plus de
we
temps
have
pour
still will
faire la
take a little bit
discussion.
more time. We
Et,
took a little longer
la
last
personne qui
week to do for
ne
the
peut pas
discussion, and
être,
for the
être
people who
avec nous
cannot
aujourd'hui
be
pour
with
voir
us
la
today
vidéo,
and who will be
c'est
watching
bien
the
si on
video.
peut
It's
utiliser
we can
un peu
use
de
it's be
minutes
better
pour
to use a couple of minutes
répondre les
longer
questions.
to answer any
Est-ce que
questions.
des intervenants, Monsieur Saibi et
Some of
Monsieur,
the speakers,
Monsieur
Mr.
Kaya
Saibi and
Madame Mansour, est-ce que vous
Mr.
devez
Mrs.
partir
Mansour, Mr. Kaya, do
ou
you have to
vous avez
go
encore du temps?
or do you have a bit?
Malheureusement, moi, j'ai une autre réunion, donc là, on m'attend à la
Unfortunately, I have
sécurité.
another meeting and
Je
I'm
suis vraiment
already
désolé,
there.
mais je suis
Have
disponible
people waiting
pour vous
for
par
me
email ou
at
par
the other
un
meeting in
autre
the other
canal
conference room, but I
pour
will be
répondre à toutes vos
available
questions.
to answer any
Merci
of
pour
your questions
répondre.
by email.
Une question pour
Thank you.
vous sur
There is
l'expérience en
actually a
matière de
question
développement
for you on
microassistance en
experience in
Turquie.
terms of
Oui, alors
inclusive
on est sur ce
MFIs.
sujet
Yes,
déjà
we're
avec
actually
notre
working on
partenaire
this
ADA.
subject with
Nous
our
sommes en nouvelle
partner
négociation
ADA, and we are
avec
working
la
on
compagnie
this with the
d'assurance Tunisienne.
company,
Ok.
Tunisian
Je peux pas en
insurance
dire
company.
plus.
I cannot say more for
C'est bien,
now.
il y a un plan.
Okay,
Il y a des
Ouais.
thank you.
activités
So
en commun.
there is a
Et
plan.
la
That's good.
dernière
And the last question for you is, are you able to provide client information to our clients on environmental procedures to be applied for some activities such as the ANP permits, well permits, etc. We are not really at working on this sector because our geographical experience, we work in particular on coastal areas. We are working on other areas in such as Kairouan, Baja, and Gafsa, etc. But we are not really very present so far to cover these activities. Now, are we informing clients? Yes, certainly we are doing work through the foundation, which was working on environment and protection of the environment and sustainable development as one of the major axes of its work, when it's essential to its strategy. Yes, I understand. And Mr. Saibi, this will be the last question that arrived for you, just to know if the impulse in these financial services offer for green services is a guideline from partners, meaning NGOs, or is it just the government? No, this is a choice. We have our own decide our own services and products. There are incentives, certainly from the partners, from the Tunisian government, from donors, but the fact, how the decision is totally ours.
Très bien. Merci
Thank you
beaucoup
very
pour
much.
Merci à vous. Merci pour tout le monde. Merci encore pour
Thank
l'invitation.
you,
Et
everyone.
j'espère
Thank
à bientôt.
you. And I hope that we will be
oui,
able
les
to work
participants disent aussi merci,
together
madame,
again very
pour
soon.
les réponses,
Thank you
toute la
for your
présentation.
answers and
On va
thank you for your
continuer avec
presentation.
Je vous
We
quitte
will
et bonne
continue
continuation.
now. I leave
Merci,
now, all
merci
right?
beaucoup.
Merci. Au
Okay,
revoir.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, mais Monsieur Mansour, que c'est
Mr.
ici avec nous,
Mansour, who is here with
Madame
us,
Mansour, Monsieur
and
Kaya.
Mrs.
On,
Mansour, Mrs.
on peut
Kaya.
voir qu'il y a
We can
beaucoup de
see that
questions.
there are a lot of
Je suis heureuse
questions, and I'm really happy to see
tous,
this, that
c'est
for everyone, this
je vais
is,
quitter, stop. Je vais quitter ici
let
la
me stop
présentation pour
the sharing
voir
mode
à
here
tout le monde.
so I can see
On a
everyone.
ici
So
les
here
questions.
we
On peut
have the
commencer
questions.
avec
We can start with the question
les questions de
from
Monsieur Nabil Kesraoui.
Mr.
Merci
Nabil
beaucoup pour
Kasraoui.
votre
Thank you
participation.
very
Si
much for
Katia
your
est encore avec
participation.
nous,
If
il
Katia is,
y a
Katrina is
une
still with
question
us,
pour
there is a
Katia aussi.
question for Katia also.
Mais j'espère, non, on peut l'envoyer les
But we
questions
can
pour
send the
Sanad.
questions to
Alors,
Sanad also.
Delphinda, merci pour être avec nous.
So
De
thank you
Monsieur
for
Nabil
being with us.
Kesraoui.
We have a question from Mr. Nabil Kasraoui.
Il y a une question
There is a question also.
quel est l'état de l'huile de la ligne
What
italienne en
is
termes de volume
the
de détachement
state
profit
of the play of the Italian line in terms of
aussi
volume of
bien
disbursement to MFIs,
emprunts de crédit
in
ou de
terms of
subventions avec
loans, but also
tenue de conditions
subsidies
concessionnelles de
that
cette
taken
ligne
into
et quel
consideration
est
this
l'impact
line,
généré
and
par
what
les
is the
lignes
impact
déjà
generated by the
détachées
lines
en
already
profit spécifique
disturbed to
unilatéral sur
MFIs
l'agriculteur
on
et les
farming
SSI.
and
En
SSEs.
fait, le fait
In fact,
qu'une décision a été faite dans la
the fact
présentation
that something
à la
was,
ligne italienne en
we
termes
spoke about the
notamment
Italian line in the presentation
pour
in terms
témoigner de la
of
volonté
to
commune que
show
nous
the
avons au moment
joint
de la
will that
discussion de
we
cette
have
ligne.
during the discussion
Nous
of
avons
this
prévu
line.
un certain nombre de
We
critères
have a plan for
d'éligibilité
some eligibility
et
criteria,
malheureusement justement cette ligne
but
n'a
unfortunately,
pas n'a pas
this line
suscité l'intérêt
did
qu'on
not
cherche en tant qu'autorité
call for
spécialement du côté de l'ICMF.
generate the interest we were hoping for from MFIs, despite the campaign, the awareness raising campaign we did, and despite the very interesting, favorable conditions. And unfortunately, only one MFI reacted, and I can say it's only Enda Tamwil that submitted a file, and they have the. Unfortunately, we came across some regulatory issues for conditions that are provided for. And so in our presentation, we mentioned the Italian line to say that with the same as what we did in the whether it is for eligibility criteria and also for the World Bank line. This called for interest from MFIs, and we have received a lot of applications from MFIs who are aware of the importance of this line, but they were not able, but they were quite late. And I remember that as we were talking about putting in place the World Bank line, when we wanted to simply simplify the criteria in terms of an eco-friendly aspects, we wanted the micro business or entrepreneurs to use this line, but the questions, the this is something we have learned. We were told that the big projects start small, and this is a lesson that push us not to make any concessions in terms of environmental constraints. So we have to be strict on these constraints from the beginning. So the Italian line, it's not because of these constraints or the compliance in terms of some conditions that have an environmental aspect that did not work, but rather because of the fact that the person who is acquiring financing services or products has we have a draft law that defines economic solidary economy. So these are not conditions that it's not the conditions or the criteria that prevented the success of the line from the ENDA side, but in practice we came across other difficulties as I mentioned. So in finally, in fact, we still keep faith and hope that it works with ENDA. We haven't closed the door on that yet, but we have to review with the Italian cooperation what some things, and I think we are on the good path to do so. But for this type of criteria, I think MFIs know that we have to respect these criteria to defend this and thus to protect their own
Alors,
sustainability.
on va lire toutes les questions.
Let's read
C'était
all the
ça, c'était la première
questions.
pour
So this was the first one that
ACM.
was
Alors,
addressed to
ici, il y a une autre
the
question
regulatory.
pour
So
Monsieur
there is
Khairuddin
another
Kaya,
question here from
aussi de
Mr.
Monsieur Nabil
Khairuddin Kaya,
Kassraoui. Quelle est votre
from Mr.
expérience en
Kasawi
matière de
again.
développement de
What is your
microassurance
experience in
inclusive?
inclusive micro insurance
C'est la même question
development?
qu'a
It's the
répondu
same
Monsieur
question
Saibi.
that was answered by Mr. Saibi. Yes, so thank you for this question. So in that Tamwil
offre un service donc, de microassurance santé
offers a
clients
micro
avec
insurance products for its clients
avec
in collaboration with a partner, a private partner.
conformément à la réglementation en vigueur. Et on travaille donc d'arrache-pied à ENDA pour
So we are working with the other HP and to develop other contracts or other products for farmers in particular so that they can manage some risks such as cattle mortality or fire or theft.
Je voudrais juste
I would just
interagir
like
avec Madame
to
Nedia Mansour donc,
interact
par
with
rapport aux
Mrs. Nadia
directions
Mansour about the last slide
recommandations faites pour les
and
projets
about her
MENA.
recommendations
Donc, il y a
for
deux points. Les deux
MFIs.
premiers, c'est
There, there are 2 points.
de
First,
réalisation,
in terms of
c'est vrai, mais si
achievements,
on regarde
it
les
is
projets verts,
true that when we
ils ne
look
sont
at
pas vraiment
green loans,
satisfaits
we
du
are
niveau
not really
éducatif,
satisfied
comme nous
about the
avons négocié,
level where we
car
stand, the
d'après
level
les
that we
études
have
faites,
reached,
on estime que le
because
potentiel
based on the
des projets
studies
verts
done, we
au niveau
consider
du
that the
portefeuille existant
potential for
d'ENDA
green
est beaucoup plus
products
important.
for the
On
existing
estime que près de
ENDA
70%
portfolio,
des activités
we
financées
consider that
peuvent
about
avoir un impact
70%
environnemental,
of
soit positif
the
ou négatif.
activities could have a
Donc,
green
je ne parle pas des
impact, whether
projets
it's
qui ne sont
positive
pas
or
encore
negative. I'm not
ciblés,
talking
mais du
about
portefeuille existant.
projects
Et
that are not
en matière de
targeted yet,
stratégie
but I'm
verte,
talking about
nous
existing
avons
projects. But
opté
in
donc
terms
pour
of green
deux choix. Il y a
strategy,
d'abord les crédits
we
proprement verts,
have
comme
opted
l'éco-prêt ou
for
l'éco-cham, si vous voulez,
green
l'éco-TAPA, ou d'autres produits qui vont voir le
products
jour.
such as
Mais il y a aussi les
EcoTaca
transactions vertes
and other
qui
projects that
concernent les
will
produits
uh,
existants, les produits classiques.
be launched, but
À ce
also
niveau, on
conventional
estime que
products.
le
At this
financement
level, we
de portefeuille
think
vert à
that
ENDA
green
est
finance,
beaucoup plus
the
important que les
ENDA
chiffres
green portfolio, is
présentés
much
pour
more
les
important than the
projets.
figures
C'est
presented.
pour cette raison que ENDA
For this is why
introduit de nouveaux
ENDA
indicateurs
has
verts dans son
introduced new
système
green indicators in on its
d'information. Et
information system.
on espère donc d'ici fin d'année
And
après
we
Noël
are
quand même
hoping that
pouvoir
by the
afficher
end
donc
of
nos
the
résultats
year,
en
we
matière
will
de
be able
transactions vertes,
to
qui englobent à
show
la fois les
our
financements
green
à travers les crédits
transition
verts ou à
products
travers les crédits
through
classiques, mais qui ont
green loans
certaine
or
part
conventional
d'impact
loans, but
vert.
with a certain
Bon,
share
le
of
deuxième
green
point, c'est
impact. The
relatif
second point
à
is
l'éducation des clients,
related to
etc. Donc, Enda
education,
Tamwil
client education. So
a,
Enda
a
Tamwil
développé
has
le projet
developed
Aflatoon en
the
concertation avec
Aflatoon
l'ONG
projects
Enda Interarabe.
with
Donc, c'est une
Enda
initiative
Inter-Arab.
internationale. Et
It's an
ce qui est bien
international
avec la chose de
initiative, and
conservatisme
the
à
good
ENDA,
thing about
c'est qu'il y a
this
eu un accord
is
avec
that
le ministère de l'Éducation
there was an agreement
tunisien
with the
pour
education ministry in
que
Tunisia
ENDA
to
puisse
so that ENDA can
former certains éducateurs
train some
sur ce programme
teachers
Aflatoon
on
pour
this Platoon
qu'eux-mêmes donc ils jouent
project
le rôle de relais
so
auprès
that
donc
they
des élèves
can be
pour les
themselves
éduquer financièrement.
share
Cette
this and
éducation
do
financière,
a financial education with their
intègre un
uh,
volet environnemental. Donc, on
pupils
pense
and
que
integrate
travailler
so
sur les
this
futures générations,
aspect
c'est
in the
important
education
aussi
of future
pour
generations, and we believe this is
respecter l'environnement,
important
pour adopter
to
un
respect
comportement
the environment and have
adéquat avec
a behavior that
comment on
is
respecte les ressources
adequate,
naturelles, la
that
biodiversité, etc. Donc,
respects
parmi les enjeux aussi
biodiversity,
auxquels on est
etc. So
confronté,
one of
c'est
the
l'état d'esprit
issues we
de
have to
l'impact
face is the
quand
mindset
on parle
when
de
we talk
financement vert
about
aussi, il n'y a pas que le
green
mindset du
finance.
personnel,
It's
il
not
faut
just the
aussi
mindset of the
sensibiliser
staff. You
davantage
also have to raise
les entrepreneurs,
awareness with the
prospects,
citizens,
futurs clients, pour
prospect
qu'ils adhèrent à
clients,
cette
so that
invention, donc à ce
they
processus de
uh,
changement. Parce que la
participate in
majorité des
this
clients, en fin de
change,
compte,
because
il est
most
intéressé
clients at
par
the
un
end, they
rebond
are
ou
just
à la limite
interested in
une
having
bénéficiaire
a lack,
en microfinance. Donc, faire en sorte que le
in
client
having treasury,
ne
access to
sollicite pas un
treasury.
crédit vert
So
pour
they ask for a green
équiper
loan
son
to
moyen de vie
have
ou
maybe energy saving equipment or new other
là, il y a un chemin à
agricultural
faire pour
technology.
que les
And
gens
so there
adoptent
is a path, there are things to
ce
be
mindset.
done so people are engaged in such an attitude.
Madame Mansour, est-ce que vous avez une réaction?
So Mrs. Mansour, yes, thank you very much for your comment. For figures, I am still also waiting for data. So in general, I work on the banking sector, and here, following this, our last discussion with Mrs. Mahmoud and Mrs. Sia said, why not? Well, maybe you should integrate the microfinance sector. In my research, it's very interesting. And so I wanted to have the figures, and it's quite important. And so I am still waiting for data from Mr. Khairuddin also. Yes, I totally agree with you. There, we need to prepare the new generations and work on the mindset of young people. And here, I would just like to express a small recommendation, if you would allow me. We have to maybe work more on the marketing with the dissemination of information. Personally, I work a lot with my students on the sustainable development. We do orientation days on this field, and in order exactly to encourage young people, young entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs, as I work in the management aspects, and to have more young startups and green projects. So it would be very interesting if could collaborate maybe someday together to present. Maybe you should present the products you have in your project and encourage young people to work more in the sustainable development sector and
Alors,
support the environment.
Nadia, il y a encore des questions. Est-ce
Nadia, there are more
on peut continuer
questions.
avec
Actually,
les
we can,
questions
if we can continue with the questions.
des participants envoyés dans le chat? Alors, il y a la question, merci d'exposer la méthodologie de
There is a
recherche et
question about
la
how could you explain Mrs. I have already sent the work that has the methodology for collecting data for Mrs. Katia also. She will send an email for a further meeting. But now I'm going to try to answer the questions. So, as I said earlier, the central bank has worked and is trying to encourage this, but there is not really, there is no real impact on the market. And these initiatives are still quite limited at an individual level. When we stay oriented, it's more focused on actually individual clients, because for an entrepreneur, this is always a matter of benefit. So if as an entrepreneur, I cannot find and I am working on sustainable development and a client, a green client, maybe this is going to be very limited, and this is an issue. There are no real incentives and financial incentives for entrepreneurs. This is why recommendations earlier for the central bank or for banks, it's really to have incentives that would be maybe tax related, any incentives for entrepreneurs in this field. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to convince them to work on such projects. It's good to do trainings, it's good to work on the mindset, it's good to do marketing and incentives, tax incentives. I think it's something that it is the most important aspect for entrepreneurs and for the development of green
Merci,
projects.
merci.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Mansour.
Alors,
We need to have regulations for this, which is the case for European banks, and maybe why not in Tunisia too? It's a case in Morocco.
monsieur,
Voilà.
faites-moi s'il vous plaît.
Merci Madame Mansour. Juste, j'avais bien rebondi sur une question
I would like to
importante à savoir le rôle de la Banque
say
centrale
something
en
about the
lien
role
avec
of the
les
central bank
obligations.
in
Je pense
relation
que là,
to the obligations. I think
j'aimerais bien nuancer
I
parce
would
que
like
là, c'est
to
le
add
périmètre
some nuance
du Conseil des marchés
here
financiers. Donc, je pense que
because
la
this
Banque
is
centrale,
really the
ou surtout
prerogatives
selon
of the
les
financial
amendements, c'est
market.
surtout
Where
au
is
niveau
the role of
du
the central
crédit
bank? It's really
que la Banque
about
centrale
credit lines that the
gère
central bank
et qui sont
manages
rétrocédés aux banques. Et je pense
that
que
are
la Banque centrale a un
transferred
rôle
to
très
banks
important au niveau de la négociation de ces lignes
and
et au niveau
the
de leur mise en
negotiations of
œuvre.
these
Par
lines and
contre,
their
là
implementation.
où
But
la structure ou bien l'institution qui
the
n'a pas été
structure
citée
on the
jusqu'à maintenant, c'est le
institution that was
CMF.
not
Je pense
mentioned
qu'il y
so
a
far,
déjà
it's
une
the
initiative
CMF And I think there is an initiative that was launched 2 years ago by CMF, and there's a whole framework that was presented for green obligations. And I think this is a prerogative of the CMF. And I believe that we need, and here I'm talking to my staff, where we'd like to go back to the outcomes that were presented during a very important seminar in Tunisia 2 years ago, where the green obligations the framework was discussed. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to launch all these questions. And regarding CMF and the role that they could play in terms of green obligations.
Alors, Madame
Oh,
Mansour, on a ici tous les
Mrs.
points.
Mansour, we now have all the frameworks here we're looking for. So we know that there is a manual, that was issued by the Tunisian Stock Exchange regarding green, bonds, but really there are still no actual green bonds. This is the issue. So these remain at the level of being recommendations. So once on one aspect, and there's green energy on the other side. There's also, as I said, there are the certificates that I spoke about earlier, so if we can maybe look at the international, framework for this to have foreign investors and to have maybe, projects in Tunisia, as 100% green, maybe not have certificates and, maybe put these projects for marketing international.
De
The
Palestine,
last question comes from Palestine.
de Libanon, de Liban,
Non, non,
avec
from
Monsieur
Julie Bard, avec
Farhat,
Monsieur Ali Nazar Farhat, de
Monsieur,
from
Monsieur
المجموعة.
avait demandé, je crois,
I think he has asked here. I think this is the
Mahmoud
question
Mansour,
is from
est-ce qu'il
Mr.
y a
Mahmoud
un
Mansour.
cadre
Is there
réglementaire
a national
national de
regulatory
financement
framework for
inclusif en
inclusive
Tunisie?
green finance in Tunisia?
Véritablement, il n'existe
In
pas un
fact,
cadre
there really
fixe
isn't,
des
there is
initiatives
not
qui
a
sont parties
unified
dans cette
framework.
recherche
These
réglementaire.
are
On cherche
initiatives
à
that
mettre
are
en
all over the
place
place.
un cadre
This is what we're
bien
aiming to
structuré
do. We're
et
looking
qui
for a
permettra
well-structured
d'assurer à tous les
environment
acteurs
and
le
which can
développement de
ensure,
tous. Alors,
green
comme je l'ai
finance, the
dit, il y a une
development we're
initiative
looking for. So
qui
there's
a été lancée à un moment donné par le CMF pour les
so there was
obligations
an
vertes.
initiative that was launched by the
La Banque
CMF for
centrale au
green,
niveau d'un certain nombre de
bonds.
pays, il y a
So
eu des
there was
conditions qu'on a
there
tendance à
were
prévoir
conditions, conditions that
impliquant
we need
une
to
liaison verte entre
apply
le
for
développement des
this,
agences
but
vertes,
which are
mais
directly
également jusqu'à
connected with
maintenant,
green
celle
finance.
qu'on
But
essaie
really, up
de
until
faire,
now, and that
et
we're
c'est la
trying to
stratégie
do
qu'on cherche à mettre en
is the
place
strategy
pour
we're trying to set
mettre
up
en œuvre,
to
tout d'abord prévoir un
implement,
cadre
first of all, put
bien
in place
structuré qui est de
a
nature à
well-structured
assurer que
framework,
tout
which is
le développement
well-structured,
qu'on cherche
that can, for
inclusif
this,
verte et
uh,
surtout pour être justement
and also to
capable
be
de bien affronter les risques
to
que nous sommes à devenir pour
face
pouvoir
up the risks for this that we are trying to
En
do.
Tunisie, il y a un
But in
cadre qui
Tunisia,
respecte
there is
les
a
limites
regulatory
circulaires.
framework up for the circular economy.
l'économie
Yes.
circulaire, comme je l'ai
So
dit, là,
circular
c'est
economy,
l'une
as I said, it's
cette
one of the
économie, lorsqu'on parle
topics, but it's the one we speak about
d'une stratégie
of a strategy
pour le développement de la finance
for
verte,
the
donc
development of
C'est
green
pas
finance.
voilà,
It's
justement.
separate.
Alors
Yes,
oui,
it is.
parce
Yeah.
que l'année dernière, on
Yes,
a
because
discuté
last year we
cet
discussed
cadre réglementaire
this
en
regulatory
Tunis
framework
et il y a
with, and
différentes
that time we
participations pour
that there are
faire
incentives
l'économie circulaire,
to
mais c'est aussi parce
circular
que
economy,
c'est
but it's not
aussi pour
clear.
les
So
institutions de
it's also
microfinance.
for this.
C'est-à-dire que ce qui est regrettable, c'est
What
aujourd'hui,
is
nous
a pity
disposons
is
d'une
that
stratégie
today
nationale d'inclusion financière,
we
mais
have
nous
a
avons des
national
exceptions,
strategy
qui
for
sont
this,
sur
where we
lesquelles
have
tous les
very
acteurs
clear topics on
de
which all
l'écosystème
the
sont en train
actors of the
de
ecosystem
travailler.
are working
Pour le
together.
développement
So
de la
for the
finance
development of
inclusive,
green finance, so
je pense que là, c'est une
a
thématique
inclusive
celle
green
que nous devons
economy
mettre
finance,
en
it's a
avant.
theme that
Et comme j'ai
we
dit tout à
need
l'heure,
to
il faut
highlight.
absolument
So and we
et
need to
au sommet
absolutely irrigate it. So
au sommet de
put
nos
it at
de nos
the
priorités
top of our
et nous devons
priorities.
absolument
And
gérer
so we absolutely
des
must take
catastrophes que nous voyons
the
dans notre
conclusions
région,
from the
notamment
disasters
la région de
we
la
see all
Méditerranée
around
et
the
le sud
world,
de la Méditerranée
the
qui
region of the
voyait auparavant
Mediterranean.
auparavant
And
des
when we
projets
saw this
chuter
all
à
over the
l'abri
world,
des
yeah, which
catastrophes
is
dévastatrices.
hidden
Et
from
nous avons
the
observé que
protected
tout
from the
récemment en
disastrous
Libye avec
catastrophes.
les
And we have seen
torrentielles
it
en Europe.
recently in
Et
Libya
donc
with the
là,
torrential
c'est
rain, and
des
then
types
also in
de
Morocco with the
catastrophes qu'on
earthquake.
n'a jamais vécu.
This is the
On n'a
type
jamais
of
vécu
disasters we've never seen before
cela.
within the southern
Il faut
shores of the
absolument qu'on se
Mediterranean.
mette
So,
ensemble. Il faut
so
se mettre la main dans la
we
main et
need to
travailler. La
to
première,
work
c'est
together.
auditer
So,
l'écosystème,
and
écouter
we
les
talking to all the
ministères
actors of the systems,
la
whether the
société civile,
Ministry of Finance, civil
l'université,
society, the
les
central bank,
régulateurs. Il faut que tout le monde
academia, and the
prenne conscience
regulator.
justement du problème
Everybody
que nous avons.
must be aware
Il
of
faut
the
travailler
importance of
absolument
things.
et se
We
coordonner sur quoi
absolutely
pour
must work,
atteindre cet
coordinate
objectif.
our
J'aime
efforts to
bien ça
reach
avec
this
vous deux.
objective. I really like this.
On est ici
We
ensemble
are
au Global
here.
Policy Forum
So
organisé par ADE,
so
par
with the
AFI,
Global Policy
Alliance,
Forum organized
Alliance
by
for
AFI,
Financial
the
Inclusion.
Alliance
Il y
for
a le groupe de
Financial
travail
Inclusion, there's a
financier
working group.
inclusif qui travaille avec les banques
So
centrales
working
dans
for
tous
this,
les pays.
that works with the
Il
central
y a des
banks, with
expériences
many
qu'on
countries.
on
There are
peut apprendre
experiences
de
that
ces deux
we
pays.
can learn
Et je
from other
crois que
countries.
vous êtes
And I think that
dans une très
you
bonne
are
position.
in a very good position
Aussi,
today.
Banque centrale de
And
Tunisie
also
pour
the Central Bank of Tunisia
Avancer.
to move
avec
ahead, to
les premières.
progress, and take the
C'est
first steps, to
Effectivement.
launch this. In fact, there is a decree by the central bank regarding green financial inclusion, but but I think there really is there are initiatives, and we're working on this, but a regulatory framework, as he said. So it's not maybe not it could be more, if we can make it more implementable, that's what we're expecting or waiting from the central bank. So
Enfin, on
finally,
arrive à la
I
fin
think,
de notre
finally
journée
we reach
et on
the
a
end of our
plus de
webinar,
50
and
personnes
we still have more than 50
connectées
people
ici
connected at this
jusqu'à
hour,
la fin de
and
cette
it's until the end of
discussion.
this discussion.
Et je voudrais
And I
aussi
would like also to
les mots de solidarité avec
express
les
my
Marocains.
solidarity with the
Merci beaucoup.
Moroccan people and
Ici, c'est
this,
avec nous.
yeah,
Ici,
and
c'est
Libyan,
avec
please, and
Microfinance,
of course,
Tofik,
yeah, no, here it's
ici, Mohamed VI de Maroc.
we also here have
Merci pour
the
votre participation dans
Mohammed
notre
VI
moment.
Center for this. Thank you very much. So
Aussi, non, on
for your
reste
contribution,
connecté.
and
Vous
we
pouvez aussi
remain in
suivre,
touch with everyone,
notre
and you can follow
LinkedIn
our
pour
LinkedIn
savoir
account
les prochains
to
événements
be
sur les rapports.
informed of our
Le
next
prochain
meetings
mercredi,
for this.
on va
Next
discuter
Wednesday, we shall discuss
si la situation,
the
secteur de
situation
microfinance durable
of the
de la Jordanie.
sustainable
Donc,
microfinance sector
vous
of
êtes
Jordan. So
invités
you are
à
invited
nous
to
rejoindre.
join us next
Si
week
vous avez
also.
des mots
If you have
pour
anything, would like to add to this.
Donc, je remercie
So
vivement
I would like
Senate
to
de
thank,
Financial Motion pour nous avoir
Senate
donné
and
cette
Financial
opportunité
Motion for giving us this opportunity
d'organiser
to organize.
ces webinaires et tout particulièrement le webinaire
The
auquel
series
nous
of
participons
webinar, and
aujourd'hui,
especially the
qui est
webinar
dédié
we're
à la
participating in
Tunisie.
today, which
Je
is
remercie tous
dedicated
les
to Tunisia.
dans tous
I'd
les
like
pays de
to
la région
thank all
MENA.
the participants
Je
in all
remercie
the
tous les
MENA
conférenciers
region.
qui ont
I
pris
would
part.
like to thank
Je
all the
remercie
speakers
également
who are took part.
les
I
deux
also would
représentants
like to thank
des deux IMF qui
the
ont
two representatives of
accepté
the
justement de
two
partager leur
MFIs,
expérience avec tous
who
les
accepted
participants
to share
de
their
la MENA.
experiences with all the
Je
participants of the
remercie
MENA
tout
region.
particulièrement
I'd
Natalia
like to thank
d'avoir
also
réuni toutes les conditions
specifically
nécessaires
Natalia
qui étaient
for
difficiles, c'était pas
meeting all
tout
the
à fait
necessary
évident,
conditions, which
mais
were
in fine,
quite
on peut
difficult. It
se
wasn't an
réjouir
easy
justement de
task,
pouvoir
but in Fine, we
organiser ce
can
webinaire à distance
proudly
à
say that
milliers
we
de
were
kilomètres
happy
de
that we
Tunis
have been
et
able to
avons justement
organize this
pu
conference
réunir
remotely while
pas
being
mal de
thousands
nos
of
chers
kilometers away
participants de
from
tous les
Tunisia.
pays de la
And we
région
were
MENA.
able to gather
Personnellement, je suis très
many of our
ravi de cette rencontre.
participants from the
Je
MENA
pense que
region.
nous avons
Personally, I'm very
la chance
happy with
justement
this
d'être ensemble
meeting,
réunis
and I think
aujourd'hui
We are lucky
comme nous
enough to
l'avons
be
fait les
gathered
autres fois,
today,
et
so
nous avons
as
pu
we were
lancer,
last time,
coordonner nos
so
efforts, et je pense
we
que
will
donc la
continue
coordination des
with our
efforts, on
efforts,
peut
and I think that
justement aboutir
in
à des
coordinating
résultats
these efforts, we
qui
can
vont
reach results
servir les intérêts de
that
nos pays
would be
respectifs
serve
et
the
développer
interests of
de véritables
of all
finances
our
inclusives,
respective
durables, qui
countries,
cherchent à
and
mettre
really
en œuvre
promote
dans nos pays respectifs.
inclusive
Merci tout le
finance
monde,
that we're looking
et
to
on se voit
implement,
aujourd'hui au
you know, in
Roust
our countries.
le
Thank you,
7 le
everyone.
20, le 20 septembre
And
pour le Cap
we
Vert.
hope to meet in
Merci.
on the
Merci tout le monde.
20th of September for the Jordan case. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Merci.
Au revoir.
Thank you. Thanks. So, goodbye.
Au revoir.
Merci.
Ah oui, Madame Chantal et Khadija, merci.
Merci à vous pour votre soutien.
Thank you for
Merci
your
pour,
support, you know, for this.
ce webinaire très
Thank you
intéressant et qui
for a
nous a
very
permis
interesting
d'éclaircir
webinar that
des zones
allowed
d'ombre.
us
Merci beaucoup.
to,
Merci à
you know,
nos
shed light
partenaires
on
et
many
amis
important
tunisiens
points.
pour
Thanks
cette
to our
visite
Tunisian partners
pertinente,
and
si
friends for
pertinente
for these very relevant presentations. Thank you. Thank you.
Mohamed VI.
So it's Khadija from the
qui
Mohammed
soutiennent
VI
la
Center.
microfinance solidaire. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Alors, oui, merci, Monsieur Kaya. Et merci beaucoup pour être le traducteur.
Thank you, Mr. Kahia, and thank you to the interpreters
Merci.
for this.
Donc, je remercie tous les traducteurs.
I'd like to thank all our interpreters. It was a difficult one today, but the technical team, you know, thanks to our technicians, thank you for this, for being there with us at all hours. Thank you. You are most welcome to all who listen to the interpretation.
Un peu, podemos cerrar lentamente. A ver, vamos a ver acá que las preguntas.
J'aurais besoin d'un traducteur là.
We can do that too. We can work from.
Oui, on a terminé. Alors, je vais couper ici les vidéos. Le microphone. Au revoir à tout le monde. Et on va fermer la... Merci. OK. Ciao, Felipe.